As we always start the show off, Big Sills! And it's a big week. It's an absolutely enormous week. And massive news for your favorite teams and also the Eagles. By the way, massive Eagle news today. There's certain things they're doing that I love. There's certain things they're doing that I absolutely hate. And I'm going to get to those here in a minute. You got to understand something with what we're going to do here this week. And today is official cheat day. But let me put this out there to you, just so you know how much of a bullshit day this is. You really think that the Eagles offered, and by the way, I happen to know the agent. So when the Eagles offered DeAndre Swift $6.5 million, the agent went like this. Yeah, no. And he ends up getting 10 a year in Chicago. There's no chance on the planet with a player making $1.5 million that you're going to turn down almost 4 times the money, not knowing what the open market was going to be if you hadn't been talking to the Bears already or other teams. They already knew that there were bigger takers out there for DeAndre Swift. They already knew that. So the Eagles came in and lowballed Swift. And that's why there was no intention of ever playing in Philadelphia. By the way, I love the fact that many of you guys were sitting here saying, well, you know, he's a local kid. Remember what I told you? That means ungats. Show me the money, especially at that position. Dude, he could have been born at Lincoln Financial and it wouldn't have mattered. It would not have mattered. And personally, I think he's Miles Sanders 2.0. I wouldn't get my panties in a bind losing DeAndre Swift, especially after what you did today. Man, there's a ton of news, and we're going to hit on all the news. I don't even know if they're going to be topics, but we're going to hit on what they're doing now. And by the way, Xander is keeping an eye because today is the official cheat day. Cheating started 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And that's why Swift is in Chicago. You don't sign a deal on Monday for $30 million not knowing that deal wasn't out there already. And look, we're going to talk about the retirement of Fletcher Cox, the absurd in bringing back Brandon Graham, all of that. So let's get into it. The contract for Landon Dickerson, $84 million, max deal near $90. Guarantees $50, bonus of $20 million, and it makes him the richest guard in pro football at $21 million. So now you've got 3 dudes near $20 million in your offensive line. You better be good. Why in the world would you sign a $10 million running back in broken down ass Barkley? That makes no sense. You've had 2 running backs. 2 running backs in 2 consecutive years that were 2 different guys, and you spent $3 million combined on both of them, and you got almost the same production. What's the point of spending all that money in your O-line if you're going to turn around and spend – if you're going to spend $10 million, go get me Derrick Henry. He fits the mold. Jalen Hurts is not a screen pass quarterback. You don't throw screens. Ask Swift. That's why he wanted out. He wanted to be more versatile. He didn't like the way they were using him in the offense. He had no intention of returning. He had no intention. Zero. What are you talking? I mean, look at the yards he had when it came to his screen game. Nothing. Go get Derrick Henry if you're going to spend that kind of money. Okay? The Eagles might blow next year. Carton 3, Philly 0. Swift to the Bears for $10 million. Miles Sanders 2.0. By the way, I like Bryce Huff. Would that be a great sign? Absolutely. Remember that guy Grenard that I told you? He just signed a contract with the Vikings. Okay? The Dickerson contract is spectacular. You had to address him. You're going to extend Devontae Smith. You're not going to give him a contract because you've got to go out and replace your defense. You're going to extend him for the 25 season. May 2nd, they're going to extend him. And on top of that, if you're the agent, you don't want to sign a contract right now. You want to see what Jefferson does by setting the market. Perfect. The Eagles signing Bryce Huff 3 years for $51 million. Absolutely a great move. He's a young ball player. There is no way that either Josh Sweat or Hassan Reddick are both coming back. One is gone. That's why they're shopping him. It's a great sign. I think, quite frankly, he was an outstanding player in that Jets defense. I think that Jets defense kind of got ran into the IR tent because of the lack of offense on that side of the ball. Many of the football players that were on defense with the Jets ran out of gas at the end of the year. Ran out of gas at the end of the year. And by the way, if you think about it, I have to say this. My thought process is Hassan Reddick is going to be traded. Because now you have Bryce Huff on the other side of Josh Sweat. That's a pretty good-looking D-line. Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. It's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, is he suspect in the run defense? Could be the guys around him. But I do like the Bryce Huff sign. You can document that on March 11th. It's a good move by Howie in bringing that in. Okay? And to me, Reddick, now, are you keeping Reddick? Are you keeping Sweat? Reports are they're shopping both of them. You're shopping both. I mean, it's a great sign, and I think Hassan Reddick, in my opinion, I think Hassan Reddick is the guy that's the guy on the out because he's a one-trick pony kind of guy. And now you got a guy in Huff and Sweat setting the edges. It's not bad looking. You got to pray eventually that Nolan Smith does something. You're not going to pay that kind of money for Bryce Huff and then turn around and give Hassan Reddick a $20 million deal also. You just signed Dickerson to a $20 million deal. Okay? Miguel asked a good question. Why did Green Bay sign Josh Jacobs? Because they want to run the ball. And they want dual backs. In today's NFL, you need dual backs. I'm with LJ. I have no problem trading Hassan Reddick. I've never been a fan when it comes to his skill set. When it comes to what he does great, his pass rushing, he's a game wrecker. But in the defense that Vic Fangio wants, he's not multifaceted enough. Okay? Sweat's young. I'm not trading a guy with a $21 million market. Just not. I'm going to keep him one more year. We'll deal with it next year and next offseason. I'm getting rid of Reddick. Okay? And this Saquon Barkley conversation is absolutely ridiculous. Why are you spending? Let's take a look at this. Why are you spending a second round, third round, 20 million, and 20 million in your O-line to buy a $10 million back? Why would you spend $10 million when you're going to try to run your offense? Who are you running this offense through? Barkley, A.J. Brown, or Hurts? How much more does this guy need to win a Super Bowl? Jesus Christ. You got to be kidding me. Are you going to spend half of your salary cap on all of your skilled offensive players for this guy? Holy cow, man. The value of Mahomes just shines every freaking day in the NFL when they don't sign anybody. How many more guys are you going to sign at 10 to 20 million and not win? Jesus, mid-on. Got to be kidding me. Can't this guy carry a team? Why are you double dipping on the offensive side? You give Dickerson the 20, you're going to sign Barkley? The running back position with the Eagles is the fourth need on the team. You got cornerbacks and everyone else. Listen, I heard Bill talking about the corners, and that's not a priority. You think spending $30 million or $25 million on corners that had 3 picks last year is value? You think that's value? 3 picks between Bradbury and Slay last year. Sign a new head coach. I got you, Drew. 3 picks at $26 million combined. That's value? Hey, you'll have to excuse me, but that is an absolutely robbery. Got to be kidding me. The Huff sign is great. That's a priority sign. What was he? Look at this. So I didn't write. Look, Bryce Huff on my list of guys to sign. Right there, look at that. He was the number 1 guy on my list today. Number 1 guy on my list to sign. A running back is not a priority. Okay? Not a priority. 2 different dudes got 1,000 yards and you paid $3 million for him. Okay? Look, I'm going to tell you this. You got elite talent a lot of places on that offense, but you don't have an elite quarterback. That's your major problem. Because if you did, and you thought if you signed Barkley, that is a surrendering of the fact you don't have an elite quarterback. They're winning Super Bowls with a 7th round back in Kansas City. I mean, give me a break. 7th round back. If you sign Barkley to a $10 million deal, that's an indictment on Jalen Hurts. Stupid move. Dude, give me Derrick Henry. You want to spend $10 million? Give me the best back in free agency. That makes more sense. They don't spread the ball around. And you guys think because Kellen Moore is the new OC, there's going to be this giant epiphany from Hurts that he's going to turn into check down Charlie. That is ridiculous. Henry's too old. He's more reliable and more productive than Barkley's ever been. And that was just last year on a shitty Titans team. Look at how people actually believe that Saquon Barkley is a more productive and better back than Henry, when Henry has been a dominant player and is still a dominant player. Guys are just stupid. Barkley's not a dominant player. He's an overhyped player. Do we think Barkley hype is smokescreen? Could be Q. JAKIB's a better back than Barkley. Okay? Hey, JAKIB's is a better back. And plus, what's the one thing Derrick Henry gives you? He blows people up in pass protection. Barkley can't do that and doesn't want to do that. Dude, that DeAndre Swift sign is crazy for the Bears. Their line's not that good. He's going to be Miles Sanders in Chicago. And he's going to have a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. He's going to that is going to be and go down. And here's my prediction. That DeAndre Swift Chicago sign will go down as the worst free agent signing this offseason period. Because he's going to a shitty team. And hey, good for the player. You know why? I heard Xander talking with McMullen earlier. Way to chase the bag of money. Get it while you can. He's right. That wasn't a move of winning. That was a move for the bag of money. He doesn't give a shit if he's productive. Look at the bonus money. He went for the bag of money. I mean, Howie lowballed him. 6.5. He got 10. Wasn't even close. And when his agency saw that, let me double check that because I want to make sure, because I sent a text message to the agent and I wanted to double check on that 6.5 that the Eagles offered him. I think that's awful high for the Philadelphia Eagles to offer a running back that. Okay, I did. Absolutely. He got $24 million in guarantees. $24 million. Come on, man. The Philadelphia Eagles running back is not a priority. Draft a running back. Hey, if the Eagles draft a running back that's a quality back, he'll get 1,000 yards. You better. I mean, my God almighty, how much money do you have spent in your own? You know what's crazy? The Eagles have the best O-line in football. You better. You got nearly $100 million lined up in that O-line in the entire group. You know what? Think about that. 2, 4, 6, and a second rounder and a third rounder. You got about $75 million in O-line of your $255 million in cap space. Don't congratulate the Eagles for having the best O-line when you're paying for it. You better have it. You better, man. Don't need a running back unless it's Henry or other. Hey, there's other quality guys there's quality guys that are going to be out there. Saquon Barkley, I heard Bill talking. He's played as many games as Swift. I don't think Swift's reliable. He had one reliable year in 5 years. That's not a trend. That's not a trend. Okay? So think about this. Think about that. What Bill said, 17 and 17, 34. Okay. He's not. And by the way, he's not been that productive the last 3 years. Look at his numbers. I don't see that at that money. Where's the production? You're paying for a name. That, you know what? You know how sometimes you pay for generic prescriptions and it's cheaper? And when you get the name brand prescription, you pay more? That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. You can get a knockoff at the same production for less money. Why wouldn't you? I've already given it, Marco. I think it's a great sign by Howie. Like I said, Bryce Huff was the first guy on my list because we have about 9 guys that he could go after. And that's a great sign. He's young. He could be there for you for a while. This also shows you what, though? What's that Bryce Huff sign show you? What's the Bryce Huff show you? They're not sure on Nolan Smith. And the Derek Barnett draft and draft pick was a failure. Has to go into free agency and spend money on his inability to draft edge rushers. That's what that tells me. Hey, what's this? Your guys are right. It's a great sign. But then we talk about the sign and what the impact has on the cap and also in the draft. It's almost like the Eagles are de-emphasizing the draft on defense because they can't pick. They spend money over on the defensive side for these 1 to 3 year deals because they can't pick players. They just can't. It's a cover for the failures. Great sign. Absolutely. But it shows you the incompetence when it comes to the college scouting. Okay? So here, let me go into this one now. So you bring back Brandon Graham for whatever reason, I have no idea. And you're shopping Reddick and Sweat. You're more concerned about retirement send-offs than you are about having you're like farewell tours versus victory tours. It made no sense. Makes zero sense. People were getting on me because, Seals, you wouldn't. I thought last year was the last year. Another year? For what? Some go $4 million. The money's not the issue. You need ball players. So you're going to pay $4 million for a guy who will play about 18% of the snaps. That's not economically feasible, nor is it responsible to have a guy who can't contribute to the team. Hey, clubhouse lawyers, clubhouse leadership, all of that is an indictment on Sirianni. You don't have enough leadership at your head coaching position that you got to bring back Brandon Graham and pay him $4 million just to keep an eye. What is he, Dom 2.0? Sills, why wouldn't you want Graham back? Because I want the roster spot. It's a dumbass move. Because you told us a year ago that was his last year. Now here's another one. Okay? Chris goes, BG's a legend. That'll never change. He ain't now. You're paying for history. You're paying for history. Dude, you guys don't have the backbone to run a football team because sometimes you got to make shitty decisions. I disagree with that. I'd rather draft a kid. Costs $4 million to make other players think he's a good place to play. How he playing chess. I'm not putting a guy on my football team and paying him nearly $5 million just to make everyone feel good about themselves. That's not happening. I need to rebuild my team with younger players, getting younger. I don't I don't subscribe to that move at all. And you're shopping Sweat and Reddick and keeping a guy who's got nothing left. Sure. Okay. I guess. Not really. Stupid move. I will say this, though, and I have to give flowers to Fletcher Cox in his 12 years. Spectacular. In a long line of traditional defensive tackles that the Philadelphia Eagles have had, and in respect to my friend Jerome Brown, he lived up to every single thing since he left the SEC and came to Philadelphia. He brought everything. He accomplished everything. He lived up to the expectations and exceeded even more. Is he a Hall of Famer? That'll be debated. But to be in that debate is a great honor as well. He has been one of the last of the absolute traditional defensive tackles that play the run, that can rush the passer, can dominate, great leadership, a spectacular guy for the city. And every single thing that I said about Jason Kelce, in my opinion, can be said about Fletcher Cox. Spectacular career. One of the absolute, truly greatest Eagles of all time. And I even threw this out on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show. If you had to pick between Jerome Brown and Fletcher Cox, who would you pick? Geez, and I can't take my bias out of it. Okay, I can't take my bias, and I don't want to split my take up here, but probably Fletcher because of the longevity. I think that Jerome was more talented, but you can't put enough of an emphasis on how good he was for almost the entire length of his career. Okay? And as for defensive tackles, Fletcher Cox will go down in the top 3 defensive tackles in the history of your organization. And we're talking 90 years. That's an amazing accomplishment. I give him nothing but spectacular. I'm sure Brown's number would have been retired if he had played. They retired it. Jerome Brown's number is retired 99. The Eagles have retired it. I've seen it. I've been at Lincoln Financial myself. Okay, so Kirk Cousins signs with the Falcons. We're going to get all these signings. Today's Liars Club. Let me know what the money is there, Sir Roger. Sills, does he have a shot at the Hall of Fame? Denny, he does. Yes. If I have anything to say, if someone asks me, will all the Hall of Fame voters we get on, Fletcher Cox, in my opinion, I mean, I don't think I think there's been lesser defensive tackles. I mean, look, Richard Seymour. Is Richard Seymour better than Fletcher Cox? Maybe a tick. Maybe a tad bit better pass rusher, but against the run, Fletcher's better. Richard Seymour is a great player. Okay? Young with the Niners who just went in. Is Young better than Fletcher? I don't know. Okay? Fletcher Cox, I'm such a giant fan of his. I personally like him more than Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's the greatest pass rushing 3 technique in NFL history. But when it comes against the run, he's marginal. Fletcher was more complete. But he wasn't as spectacular. I remember telling Xander that when I first got to JAKIB. I said, I'll take Fletcher Cox all day long over Aaron Donald. He was stunned when I said that. Well, Donald doesn't really stop the run. You can run at him. Fletcher Cox, you're not running the ball at him. Look at what a pro he was all the way up until his final season. Okay? I love him. I do. I had to give him his flowers, and I think it was a spectacular career. Kudos to you, Fletcher Cox. In retirement, you were one of the truly greatest of all time. Okay? Sills, do Fletch and Cam Hayward compare? I think Fletcher Cox is better than Cam Hayward. And I think Cam Hayward's a great ball player. I think Fletcher's better. Cam Hayward's a great ball player. He went out still playing good too. Great Eagle. Spectacular Eagle. That's Xander. Spectacular. What's crazy about Kelsey going out and Fletcher Cox going out? Those two guys were still playing great ball, and I would have paid them. Would I have paid Fletcher Cox $10 million? Probably not. But I'll tell you what, it wouldn't have been far off that number. And get this, Kelsey could have came back, and from what I'm understanding him, they offered him $14 million to come back. And he said no. The Eagles offered Jason Kelsey $14 million to come back and tried to entice him to come back, and he said no. They tried to bribe him. I would have bribed him too. Hey, you want 15? I'll do it. I would have done it. Cousins to the Falcons changes the NFC South and the NFC a little bit around because there's some good talent down there. Pitts, Bijan Robinson, they got to fix their defense, though. That's going to have to be a major priority this offseason for Atlanta. And that's the reason why you signed Raheem Morris as head coach. Raheem's going to look around the room in free agency and in the draft, and he's going to improve that defense overnight. Atlanta Falcons are going to be players down there. The Buccaneers end up giving Baker Mayfield $100 million over 3 years. It shows you what the salary cap has done to marginal quarterbacks. Think about that. Marginal quarterbacks are making $30 million a year now. Baker Mayfield's marginal at best. Cousins is above marginal, and Cousins is making enormous dough now. He was the top free agent out there. Do you know that? But the reason why you had to give Baker Mayfield $100 million, why? Because you just gave Mike Evans that massive contract. You had to bring back a quality guy. And to me, in my opinion, the Buccaneers, I thought they should have went after Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins and Mike Evans, that might have looked good in Tampa. But the Bucs liked what Baker Mayfield brought. And what's the most important thing? He's cheaper. The Bucs have a lot of issues in salary cap. Okay? That's right, Denny. Now that Kirk Cousins is in Atlanta, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, you're trading Justin Jefferson. What are you going to do, land Justin Fields? You think Justin Fields is going to turn the Vikings around with Justin Jefferson and the kid Addison? You think he's going to turn that thing around? They need help on defense. They're in a shit's way right now because Jefferson's one of the top 5 players in the league. And they got nobody to get him the ball. So you're going to go into the draft and draft Drake May? Where the hell are you picking? Minnesota's picking at 11. So what are you going to do? Draft Bo Nix? To get the ball to Justin Jefferson? How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Huff, 10 sacks, only played 40% of the snaps and is 25 years old. 41? Absolutely. Now, the question would be, why did he play only 47% of the snaps? Is it because he's not good on the run? And they only put him in third down situations? But then again, you got to remember something about the league today. 70% of the time, you're a nickel. So that number could be misleading a little, but he's off the field a lot when you're doing 47% of the snaps. Okay? Again, it's a great sign. I'm good with him. It's right, and he's young. You're not signing an old man. You're not. Once again, I hear people talking about the Eagle cornerback position not being a priority. How in the world do you think that when you're spending $26 million and you got 3 interceptions last year? off those three guys and not think that's a problem. It's economically not feasibly responsible. Okay, and you were 27th in pass defense. So get this. Think about this. People like Bill think that those corners are good when you were one of the worst pass defenses, you had 3 picks, and you spent $25 million in 2 players. Really? What's the good of that? And you have question marks on Fangio and how he uses corners. Give me what good is in that. Give me one thing that's good in spending $25 million. You were last in the NFL on first down completions against your pass defense. You were last in the league on third down completions in the league. And you were 27th in pass defense. And you spent $25 million. Give me one good thing in it. One. I'll take one. And when people say, I like the guys that are behind him, how do you know that? Because if they were, Bradbury would have been benched. You know, when you know there's a good player that makes less money, and you got a player like that behind a high-priced guy who's not performing, general managers rush to throw that guy out there. Unlike Nolan Smith, who couldn't get a spot on the field. Okay? Hollywood goes, who the F signs a guard for $80 million? I would. That's where you win ball games. It's why the Eagles are competitive for the last 25 years. Do you get this? The reason that the Eagles are competitive for the last 25 years is because they do spend draft picks on tackles, DTs, and they spend money and high draft picks on offensive line. It's not the quarterback position. It's not the wide receiver position. It's not the linebacker position. It's the lines. That's why they're good. Dickerson, highest paid guard. I told you he was going to be the highest paid guard. Now the problem comes down, okay? You got 3 guys floating around $20 million a year in your O-line. Are you really going to pay $20 million for 2 wide receivers now? At the same time, 2 $20 million receivers, $50 million in a quarterback, 3 guys making $20 million in your O-line. You better win, man. I think that's an indictment on Hurts. He sure needs a lot of players around him, because if he don't have all that money and all them players around him, he can't win. Woo! Let's just drop. Hey, and then you want to put $10 million on Barkley. Let's just add that up for a minute. You got $60 million in offensive linemen and 3 guys. You get $50 million in your quarterback. You got $25 million in your receiver. That's $135 million bucks in 5 players. Now you want to give $10 million to Barkley. That's $145 million. Almost $150 million of your salary cap of $155. You got $100 million to retool that entire defense, and with depth. Why are they doing that? Why would you spend $10 million on a back you don't need? Stupid. They're all in on Barkley. Hey, how about all in on Xavier McKinney? Okay? Smile. Hey, look at Smiley. Dan is obsessed with numbers. So are the Eagles. So are the Eagles when it comes to spending money. And if you're not, you don't understand how to build a team through the roster and through the salary cap. And if you're not, you don't get it. You always start with the money. Swift did. Get this. So Smiley goes, Sileo is obsessed with the numbers. Swift was. Howie lowballed him and went to Chicago, and he got $4.5 million more. Whatever. All that money you spend on your offense is an indictment on your quarterback. You have an elite, talented offensive personnel, but you don't have an elite quarterback. That's your main problem. And you all know it. The least talented player on your offense is your quarterback. A.J. Brown's more talented. Mulata's more talented. Every guy on that offense is one of the top 3 guys except for the quarterback. Don't you see that? Smith is considered one of the top 10 receivers. Goddard's considered one of the top 5 tight ends. Dickerson's the highest paid guard. Mulata's a 3rd-rated left tackle. A.J. Brown is one of the top 3 receivers. And your quarterback is a top 15 guy. The least talented player in your offense is your quarterback. And probably your right guard. Probably your right guard. It's a fact. It's a fact. I mean, every guy that's ranked at his respected position is better than anything Hurts is. So they're going to spend, if they sign him to a $10 million contract, I can't wait to see the numbers. Would they? Watch this. They're going to spend $13 million. Xander, check and see if they signed Barkley. Terrible sign. Dumb move. So it's a dumb move. Dumb move. Dumb. Dumb move. For a guy that never lived up to being the 2nd pick and was not productive in New York. Here. He hasn't been productive in 3 years. And you got priorities at safety, and you got priorities at corner and linebacker and depth all across your O-line and also in your defensive tackle. Sorry, I am not a fan of this. Here's what I say about it. The signing of Saquon Barkley is once again another indication that the Eagles panicked. Saquon Barkley never lived up to the 2nd pick in the draft. He was overhyped, overrated, and the Giants even knew it by allowing him to walk out the building with nothing in return. He's an often injured player. He's a guy that's not reliable. He's a guy that's not durable. And to me, you had other priorities on your football team. At the end of the day, you signed a guy in name recognition only and not production. He's not been productive. If you look at his last 3 years, he's not been productive. You're trying to tell me Barkley was more of a need than a linebacker on that team after that defense got annihilated? And you're going to spend that kind of money on a running back and not put that assets or that equity towards a linebacker where you could have potentially signed Patrick Queen. Or you could have signed a guy at that level that could have helped your defense out immensely. Or even another edge rusher. That's a stupid-ass move by an organization that's panicking. That's a panic sign. That's a panic sign, in my opinion. Unbelievable. What a horrible sign. And what a horrible move by the Eagles. when the last 2 years you spent $3 million on two backs and two different backs to give you the same production? What's the point on giving Dickerson, Mulata, and Lane Johnson all that money and then turn around and pay a running back $10+ million? So dumb. They're once again showing you how unbalanced they are and their mentality from the owner down. It's a dumbass move. The Bryce Huff sign is a great sign. The Barkley sign is a terrible sign. Absolutely stupid. So many more holes to fill. And then now you're going to go into the draft. Okay? Khalid goes, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't. This makes no sense. You think Barkley's a better running back than Swift? Probably a bit. But you wouldn't want to have the continuity of bringing the guy back who was a Pro Bowler last year. Hey, Swift was the Pro Bowler, not Barkley. $12 million a year for a running back who's never healthy. John McMullen's going to join us at 3:30. I am not a fan of this. I mean, let's take a look at his numbers here. I like the Huff sign. Saquon Barkley stats. Yeah, does Barkley play linebacker? So let's take a look at what he's done in his last 4 years. And let's see if he is productive. 962. Here's the last 4 years of Saquon Barkley. How about this one, Xander? Everyone? You're paying $12 million for this. 962. 1312. 593 and 34 yards. That's $12 million bucks. How do you see that? Where do you see $12 million? How about this? Let's pretend you like to move. Is 962 yards in 14 games. 1312 in 16 games. 593 in 13 games. And 34 yards in 2 games. That's your last 4 years of football with Saquon Barkley. Is that worth $12 million? Or would you have rather paid that to and put some of that money towards Patrick Queen? Is that $12 million? And remember something. Giants made the playoffs last year. They weren't horrible last year. Look at this. Here's the particulars of the deal. Former Giants running back Saquon Barkley reached an agreement with the Eagles on a 3-year, $37.75 million contract that could end up being $46.75 and includes $26 million fully guaranteed at signing per source. Barkley now beats the franchise tag number and has a maximum average per salary of $15.83 million. Which now he's the second highest paid running back in pro football. Why? So now you have a $15 million back, 2 $20 million tackles, a $20 million guard, a $15 million tight end, a $25 million wide receiver. and you sign Bryce Huff. And you're going to extend Devontae. So in 25, he's making 18. Are you ever going to do anything on defense? Or are you doing this all in the draft with your great brilliance? Okay? This is a shit sign. And guess what you're going to get? You are going to get everybody in Philly and the Philly media going crazy because you know why? They see the name and the marquee name. And yet places that win Super Bowls don't have marquee names. You have marquee guys at every freaking position on offense. And yet you are still 1-7. You think Barkley helps you off what you did a year ago? Absolutely pathetic to think that. This guy's going to make $15 million. And now get this. You have the second highest paid back, the highest paid guard, two of the highest paid tackles, and one of the highest paid quarterbacks. What more does Hurts need? Dude, the Dickerson extension is spectacular. The Huff sign is great. I mean, signing of Saquon Barkley. And then here's something, though, that I will give the organization kudos for. Here's something I will give them kudos for. They're taking a swing. Okay? So if you guys are always accusing me of not being positive on stuff, even though I did say great things about Fletcher and the Huff sign, here's the one thing I will say. They're taking a swing. My only problem is you're taking a swing. You're taking a swing on the wrong side of the ball. See this kid down here? What's his name? Ice? He's talking about Jeffrey Simmons. No, unless you're talking about the kid in Tennessee, I don't want that old man guy from Denver. I don't want anybody in the building that's 31 and older. By the way, I see Kevin Baird signed a contract with Chicago, and he's now been picked up. At least they're taking a swing. I got it. And Eric goes, they're taking a swing at a knuckleball. I got it. I mean, Howie throwing haymakers on a guy who's not been productive in the last 4 years, but 1 year. One of the last 4 years, he's been productive. One. And boy, I'll tell you something. There is no question. Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham are starting for the Philadelphia Eagles in September when they go to Brazil. What a travesty that is. Holy cow. One guy's halfway okay, and the other guy's a bum. And you're going to go into an NFL season with that. Give me a break. Holy shit. Draft a linebacker? Good luck. You haven't drafted a linebacker that's been worth the shit in 20 years. Great. You signed a running back for $10 million. 15 million if he hits all his numbers. And that was a priority over linebacker and safety and depth on your defense? Why didn't you stay over on that side of the ball? Your defense was the train wreck last year, not your. Hey, I thought your offense was great talent. I thought your offense had all these great superstars on it. They're addressing the offense like it's a rebuild. What about the defense? Hey, Bryce Huff is not enough. to turn that around, especially when you're shopping Sweat and Reddick. Five-win season with all that money. Oh, this, dear God, this could be the end finally of Howie Roseman. It has to be. It has to be. I think this Barkley sign is ridiculous. I completely think it's ridiculous. Okay? From Diane Rossini, Eagles are not done. Let's take a look at that. Let's see if one of these guys can land in Philadelphia. And as I showed you, Bryce Huff was my top guy. Okay? Xander, you got something you want to show us? You could pop it up there if you'd like. Okay, let's see here. Okay, here are guys that I wrote down that hopefully I like to see the Eagles land on. So we'll take Huff off the list. Okay? Hey, LJ, how do you say that guy's name from the Panthers that you've been in love with? Frankie Louvu? That linebacker? I have him as my number 2 guy. Okay? Is that how you say it, LJ? Louvu? The linebacker from the Panthers? Bobby Wagner's too old. I have no interest in that. Okay? I have no interest in that situation. And Barkley, because he's a Penn State guy. Congratulations to you. Thank you, Taylor. It's Louvu. 5 stars thinks I'm overreacting of this Barkley signing. I'm overreacting because you overpaid. Yeah. Okay. I did have Barkley here, 3. Xavier McKinney, 4. I'd love for them to sign him. Safety, Giants. I brought him up last week. I thought he'd be a great sign. I thought the Giants were working on a contract with him. Andrew Van Ginkel, edge, Dolphins. Geno Stone, safety, Ravens. Devin White, linebacker. William Gay Jr. And Gardner Johnson, defensive back, Lions. Xander, is the word on McKinney? Did the Eagles sign Xavier McKinney, who I had 4 on this list? And if that's confirmed, that's, again, McKinney, safety, Huff, edge. Eagles signed Xavier McKinney. Okay. I want to see what the numbers are. He was around $8 million annually. And we brought him up last week as a potential guy on signing. Here's one thing I'll say. So the Giants allowed Bradbury out the building, and the Giants allowed now Xavier McKinney to walk out the building. I have to say that the New York Giants might be the worst front office in the National Football League. You let Barkley walk out the building with no compensation returned. Okay? You got nothing in return for Barkley. Now you get nothing in return for Xavier McKinney as you let him walk out the deal. Still confirming the numbers? Okay. They're spending money. Here, let's do this. The Huff McKinney sign, spectacular. The Barkley sign, awful. But they're addressing the defensive sign. confirmed the move. Still, one reported it. Others are saying it's not happened yet. Okay, that could just be getting it to the front office of the NFL on Park Avenue. So there's only one person reporting it right now, that McKinney has been signed. So we'll see how that, and we'll get more confirmation on that. It would be a great sign. They need now, if they could pull a linebacker off and they're worked on every level, I would say this to you: Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat, one of those guys is not going to be back. And most likely it's Reddick. That's why they told Reddick. Big Sills, did we really sign McKinney? We're confirming it. Only one person has reported it as of now. Okay. Flexen, I agree. I think the signing of Barkley is a waste of money. Would you double dip for a linebacker in the second? Yeah, if I could get the kid Wilson from NC State, or if Cooper slides down in the second round, or even if I did this, I moved 22 and I went 22 out of the first round and I was at the top end of the first or the second round, that to me makes sense too. You're not going to get a superstar. You're going to get a good old lineman at 22, because I think these quarterbacks are going to squeeze down the picks. Okay. Sorry, Joe. They don't run the RPO anymore. Saquon Barkley and Hurts in an RPO. They don't run the RPO. So wait, you're going to run your quarterback, and you just paid a guy $15 million a year. Oh, I see. What's the point? Wilson or Cooper? Okay. CJ, we're confirming. Of course they're giving. Of course WIP's giving Howie all the praise for signing Barkley. That wasn't a priority, running back. And it's over. You're paying $15 million for a running back who's not been productive the last 4 years. That's not a lie. Look at his numbers. Okay. Nothing is confirmed on Xavier McKinney. You do not have him as of 3:04 Eastern, March 11th, yet to be confirmed. You do not have him yet. So anybody jumping the gun on that is lying. Confirming. Our offensive line Sills, you need depth. Who's playing right guard? Tyler Steen? Okay, we'll see. Okay. Sills, maybe Barkley will be productive behind our line. Hey, Joshua, anybody can be productive behind that line. Look at your last two running backs. My question is his health. Question is, no, Barb. LJ didn't lie. There's some reports out there that deal. Now, there's some reports out there. Now, could the agent have floated that out, that the Eagles are close to signing him, so that there's more than one team negotiating with Xavier McKinney right now. And right now it's a rush to sign these guys. So nobody's lying. I would not say that LJ's lying on that. Somebody could have floated that out and said, hey, the Eagles are close to signing the guy. And maybe the Chiefs are also in line to try to sign him. Like the Packers. Okay? Okay, so that's where you are now. Saquon cannot stay healthy. Agreed. And he's not been productive. I mean, last 4 years, 1 year, 1,300 yards. Shit, Miles Sanders did that a couple of years ago. 2 years ago. Okay? Antonio Gibson to New England. It's New England's spending a lot of money because they have a lot of money. Okay? We have a new OC. How can you say we can't run? He doesn't, because you didn't run it last year. Okay? Wes Steinberg reported it, Giants beat writer. LJ, I'm not saying you're lying. You know, a beat writer usually gets information from the agent. So he's the only guy reporting it. That's okay. I'm not saying it's not true. You just like to get a confirmation on the numbers. No one else is reporting it as of yet. That doesn't mean they're not talking. Okay? It does not mean, hey, I'm awake, are you? 1,300 yards behind that offensive line? Well, let's see if he can stay healthy. Where is this money coming from? Well, they got $50 million almost in. Well, here's where the money's coming from. Anthony, Howie probably has a number right now with Sweat off the books and with Reddick off the books. And he's probably looking at $65 million or nearly $60 million in cap space, because two of those guys or one of those guys are gone in a restructure, maybe Mulata. Okay, so he's probably has a game plan where he has, you have money out there right now. What is it? Like 48 million, almost 50. If you get rid of Reddick and you get rid of Sweat and that stuff comes off the books, you're talking 57 million. So he's probably looking at that with a restructure somewhere with one of the current players to get him there 60. So he's looking at that 60 number. I'm thinking, okay, that's why you're seeing the Bryce Huff sign, the potential McKinney sign, the restructuring of Landon Dickerson, an extension, I should say. Okay. He's played 47 of the last 52 games. Okay, Donald, I'll do it one more time for you, Donald. Donald goes, he's played 47 of the last 52 games. Okay, let's see if this guy agrees with me. 962, 1,300 yards, 593, and 34 yards in the last 4 years. That's $15 million? You think in the last 4 years, Saquon Barkley's a $15 million back? Do you think that Barkley, who's never lived up to his... Saquon Barkley's not that good. He's a good player. I wouldn't consider him a great back. He's a really good player. The guy in Las Vegas is better. Jacobs is now in Green Bay. Henry's better. To some aspect, Austin Eckler was outstanding. Shit, Swift was an all-pro back last year, not him. Saquon's not McCaffrey. Are you crazy? And we'll see if he can pass protect. You think that guy's making $15 million improves your pass protection? Give me a break. Sir says, well, Saquon isn't good. No, he's not as good as you think. Dude, those aren't spectacular numbers. 1,307 his first year. 1,003 his second. 34 is third. 593 his fourth. 1,312 his fifth. And in his sixth year, 962. That's a great back. You want to see great back? Let me pull up Derrick Henry's numbers with a shitty O-line in Tennessee and a shitty quarterback as well. You think those are great? You're spending $15 million on a back that produced that? Look, everyone in Philly is going to completely disagree with me. I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. As a matter of fact, I'll double down on it. I'll double down on it. And again, do I think this deal is as bad as the Chicago deal? No. I think Chicago signing DeAndre Swift will be the worst free agent signing of any player that will be signed in this offseason period. Because I don't think he's that good. Nor do I think he's going to be able to put 2 years in a row with a rookie quarterback, a defensive coach, a shitty O-line, and very little skilled people on that team. No way. Okay? I think that will be it'll be Miles Sanders 2.0. Barkley is not a beast. He doesn't have look at Arthur. Arthur thinks a guy who's had the same year theoretically that Miles Sanders had is a beast. Where do you see beast? If you're the Cowboys, you're not scared of this sign. That doesn't scare me if I'm the Cowboys. Barkley's not slow, but you know what he is? He's a cheap man's version of Barry Sanders kind of stuff. He's going to get you a ton of minus yards. He's going to have a 35-yard touchdown run, and then he's going to come in at around 40 or 50 yards a game, get hurt, miss 4 games, come back, and he'll be right around the 69. Here, you know what he's averaged? He averages about 55 yards. You think 55 yards a game is $15 million? Let's take a look at that. Okay? So he's rushed for 5,211 in 74 games. Let's see what $15 million gets you. Let's see what that comes out to, Xander. Not that I'm a great mathematician here. 5,211 divided by 74. He's averaging 70 yards a game. $70 yards a game. That's $15 million. Yeah. Here, let's do this. And take a look at his numbers here. This way. Say, okay, no, I Barkley, 5,211 divided by 6. So he averages 868 yards a year. And you're spending, what was the numbers for Barkley? For a guy who doesn't get 900 yards a game or year, he is getting $37.5 million. For a guy that averages a little over 800 yards a year. Okay. What did Swift and Miles get over the last 3 years? Tyson, $3 million a piece combined. They were both making $1.5 million. And they both got over, let's see, Sanders the year before had 1,300 yards. And last year, Swift had like 1,100. He had 2,400 yards the last 2 years combined with guys making $3 million. Jermaine likes the Barkley move at $15 million. You really thought that was a major need on the team? Let's do this. What priority do you think the running back position was? Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30, and John McMullen's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. The Huff sign is great. By the way, the Xavier McKinney sign is not confirmed. You don't have him as of yet. That still may happen, especially if a beat reporter is throwing it out first. That lends me to believe there's got to be something to it. I would have taken Barkley for 4.5. But here's the problem. Official YouTube, here's the problem. The Eagles tried signing DeAndre Swift for 6'5", and he turned it down. Sills, Barkley didn't have Lane, Jordan, Cam used to be Kelsey in the O-line, so it's very hard to judge. You're saying he'll be better behind that O-line, and he'll be better. Well, let me ask you this. Sunless season. Why in the world, then, are you spending $50 million on a quarterback? Okay? Why are you spending $50 million on Jalen? 25 on a receiver, 15 on a running back. You're going to extend Devontae Smith to make him paid at $18 million. You just gave Landon Dickerson an extension of $20 million. Your tackles make $15 million plus and above. You spend a third-round draft choice on a guard, and you spend a second-round pick on Jurgens. I mean, what are we doing here? Where's your priority was on offense? Right now, you have Bryce Huff. I think it's a great sign. And Barb goes 255. 255. You're right. How about spending some money on defense? I mean, I would have taken that $15 million and went out and got Chase Young. And get this. So you signed a 26-year-old running back because I'm sure he's healthy still. Because running backs don't run out of gas. You thought you'd pay him more later in his career than earlier in his career because that's how that really works out. Think about your reasoning. You're paying a back who's been often injured and non-productive in his early 6-year career. Now you're paying him more, and you think he's going to be healthier because he's an Eagle? That's common sense, you think. Look, the Dickerson extension is exceptional. It's great. The Huff sign, great. The Brandon Graham bringing back, awful. Especially when you're more concerned about farewell tours instead of victory tours. You need the roster spot. Graham brings you nothing. I like to see more younger players on the team. It's time to move on. We were told a year ago Brandon Graham's final season was last year. Now, it's surely an indictment on your head coach. Okay? Dude, Hollywood, I'm with you. Now, look, the Bryce Huff sign's a pretty good number. What's that come to annually, Xander, if I'm not? What's that Bryce number come to annually on what they're going to pay him? Because if it's $15 million, there's not a chance in hell. It's $17 million, not a chance in hell. See, get this, guys. Jason, Sam, Arthur, okay? Brian, I think he's a really good athlete. I think he really played well on a Jets team. The only problem I have, he was on the field only 47% of the snaps. Does that mean that there's an issue in run defense? Now, again, that defense was spotty last year for the Jets, and that had a lot to do with their shitty offense. So it was spotty. Okay? So I would tell you that there's a lot of circumstances with that Jets team. It was a helter-skelter season last year for the Jets defense because of the quarterback situation. And Zach Wilson brought you shit. He didn't bring you really anything, so to speak, to think of. So, look, man, hey, one more time, I do want to say this about the Barkley sign. Howie's taking swings. And they've done something here that I'm going to look beyond the name Saquon Barkley. They pivoted. You guys agree? Right, Xander? They pivoted. And what do I mean by pivoted? They pivoted off of not valuing the position. Does that mean now they're also going to pivot at the LB position? You would think so. That's an organizational pivot that they didn't do as a metric. For the last 24 years, they did not value that position. Their actions today show you they pivoted. You're paying Barkley the second biggest number next to Christian McCaffrey in the league. Whatever I think of the move, they pivoted. And that's how I'm going to present it to John when he comes on. They pivoted off of something here. So they must have had an organizational conversation. Hey, we got to value these positions more. Especially if we're going to get away from RPO. And we want Hurts to be more of a pocket presence. Okay? You know, Brian goes, Eagles are just signing names. They still pivoted off of what they don't believe in. This makes me believe now that, you know what? Patrick Queen may be, hey, how about this? Does this make this more of a, does this make this more of a realistic possibility? Now that the Eagles just spent $15 million on a back, would they spend $18 million on a linebacker now and Patrick Queen? Can't say no. You can't say no to that now. Because they just did something here that they don't do. And, hey, if they don't give Devontae Smith a contract extension this offseason, if I'm Devontae Smith, I don't want a contract extension. I want to wait and see what Justin Jefferson gets. Because you want him to set the parameters and you want him to set the market. Because that's going to have a trickle-down effect. Because CeeDee Lamb's contract is up too. And this is kind of like the quarterbacks and the receivers now are kind of in the same building when it comes to this. You know, the receiver position, we're talking $30 million when you're talking a guy like Justin Jefferson. Okay? And Justin Jefferson is going to set the market for what that number is going to be for Lamb and for Devontae Smith. You see what T. Higgins did? Why does T. Higgins want to trade out of Cincinnati? Why do you think? Because the tag is under market value, according to him, because he got word, he must have gotten word that Jefferson's going to sign for $30 million. And that's not what that tag number is. It's like $12 million off the number. So Higgins is like, wait, I could get number one money. And here I am, number two in Cincinnati on a tag. You know, they could do it again to him too next year. Okay? So again, hey, listen, I'm awake. Are you? Stop moving the goal. I'm not moving the goalposts. I'm looking at the other side of this ass bag. Because again, I may not like the move because I don't think the player's worth the number. Okay? I just don't think he's been as productive as people think he's been in New York. Then again, I don't think New York's been a great organization. Think about what they did. They got nothing for Bradbury out the building. They're probably going to get nothing for McKinney. And they got nothing for Barkley. How is that fiscally and financially and roster building wise? How's that? How are you looking at yourself thinking that you're building a football team when you get nothing in return for those things? They are offensive minded and are trying to help their $250 million quarterback. They will not do this for a linebacker. Boy, I sure hope so. The Giants are a complete train wreck. They're a complete train wreck when it comes to management. You gave Daniel Jones the bag of money. Now you have buyer's remorse. You hate him. You let Hey, even if I don't like the sign, you let Barkley walk out the room when the Miami Dolphins wanted to make a play for him last year when you tagged him, and they wanted to make a trade for him, and yet you didn't want to make a trade for him prior to that tag number that you gave him on that one-year deal, and then you turn around and just let him walk out? You got no return on a guy who just now is paid the second highest paid salary at running back in the league. Nobody could tell me that that Giant organization is competent. What I want to know is how much is it against the cap? We're going to work. We'll get that with John. Seals, if you're such an expert, why are you not in one of these organizations? Because I turned them down. Could have been in the Raider organization, Carolina, Cleveland, Chicago with Dave, and also Miami with Dave. I decided not to. That's why. There. Question answered. You're stupid, bro. You don't think some players earn loyalty? No, I don't. No, I don't. The NFL's not loyal to anybody. Why would they be loyal to you? You think the NFL's loyal. Really? Sure, a guy like Jason Kelce plays 13, 14 years. Sure. Okay. Jason Kelce was an all-pro. Brandon Graham last year was a lemon. There's a difference. If Brandon Graham was playing at top-flight NFL all-pro level, of course you bring him back. I wanted Fletcher Cox to come back. I thought Fletcher was the best DT they had last year. I didn't have a problem with him. The money was a little bit rough. But with the money that the league is now throwing around, especially the Eagles, I don't know. Maybe that number's not that off. You're talking about productive versus non-productive. The guy had 16 tackles last year. He had 16 tackles and 3 sacks. And you're giving him a roster spot for a farewell tour. Come on. Come on. Give me a break. Jason Kelce? Hey, I'm hearing that the Eagles offered him $14 million to come back. He said no. That's when you know you're still productive. When they're trying to entice you with more money. Not taking less. Dude, the 2 dudes that retired, I both wanted to come back. They were 2 great players still. I'll tell you this, though. If Kelce comes back, I wonder if they give Dickerson that extension. If Kelce comes back, I wonder if they would have given that extension to Landon Dickerson. Landon Dickerson now makes more than the guard from the Colts. Spectacular. Here, let's give Howie some love here. You want to know what a great draft pick is? Landon Dickerson. 2nd round pick. Okay? 2nd round pick. Had some injuries. Am I right, Xander? Had some injuries at Alabama. He gets to the Eagles. I don't think he's missed a ton of games at all, right? He's turned out to be one of the top 5 guys in draft that he was drafted when it comes to his position. Now he's one of the top 5 guys in the league. And now he's the highest paid guy. That's nailing it. You underdrafted him. He overproduced. And now you're justly paying him. There's your loyalty. Hey, loyalty comes not on pats on the back. Loyalty in that league comes with paycheck. That's why when Swift was given that low ball offer by the Eagles, they called this day the official cheat day. Well, this deal was consummated 2 weeks ago. There's no way a guy making $1.5 million in DeAndre Swift turns down a $6.5 million contract that the Eagles offered him if he didn't know that there was another deal out there and other teams were willing to pay more. There's not a chance. Okay? There's not a chance. Look, I'll make this point to you about Barkley in the Eagle offense. How's Kellen Moore going to use him? How did Kellen Moore use Tony Pollard, who's been actually more productive than Barkley the last 3 years? How did he use him? Really good O-line, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, pretty good players in that offense. How did he use Tony Pollard? What Pollard get? 1,000? Right? Tony Pollard was great with Moore. Let's see Tony Pollard's numbers. How great he was. Hey, well, Swift was a Pro Bowler too. One thing I will say one more time. I'm going to bring up the numbers on Barkley here. Saquon Barkley. Now, again, one thing is for sure, the New York Giants organization is a train wreck. It's an absolute train wreck. Okay? You had a chance to move the kid last year. You didn't. And you let him walk out the building. You have buyer's remorse on Daniel Jones. You signed that guy Waller, who's a complete stiff now, has nothing left. You're going to draft a quarterback, maybe J.J. McCarthy. You're probably going to let Xavier McKinney walk out the building with no compensation. I mean, with the compensation picks probably next year, you're going to get something for Barkley and for this guy. I'll say this. I don't like the Barkley move. I love the Bryce Huff, and I think the extension of Dickerson's spectacular. But there's a pivot here in the organization. Let's bring John McMullen on. John, thank you so much on a busy day. I appreciate this so much. John, I just mentioned something here about the Eagles pivoting. For an organization that really doesn't value the running back position, that pretty much changed this offseason here, didn't it? I mean, do you see them potentially also pivoting a little bit in value at the linebacker position? Does this now open that up to where you could see them potentially spending money on a guy like Queen? Market value of 8?
Boy, man, this is shaking my core belief in the Eagles. I'm like, I can't even believe this signing from a standpoint of how this organization has done business in previous years. Now, I always go back to 2017, and I tell people all the time, now they finally believe it, that Albert Breer, I think, reported it last year. The Eagles were going to take Christian McCaffrey in 2017. So they would have shocked the world if he fell. They were at 14. He didn't even come close. I think he went 8 overall. But they were going to take him. They loved the player that much. And it had to do more with his ability as a receiver and not just catching the football. He's a tremendous route runner. I remember people from the Eagles telling me at the combine he was the best route runner there, not receiver. Forget about running backs. He's a better route runner than the receivers. He was just a different player. Boy, I think what they saw in San Francisco this year, and they said, what kind of impact he has on that particular team, let's try to get the closest to it. And boy, I just think they misevaluate the player. I mean, he's a very good player, Don't get me wrong, Saquon Barkley, but he's not that guy.
I'm with you, John. Look at his last 4 years. If you look at his numbers the last 4 years, that's a 15 with incentives, $1 million priority on your team when you've got so many other priorities on the other side of the ball. Help me understand it. I'm not getting it.
I'm trying to understand it. I'm not going to be much help there. I also get kind of a dream team vibe. Last time I checked, you still have A.J. Brown. You still have Devontae Smith. You still have Dallas Goedert. You still only have one football. So now you're putting this incredible pressure on the new offensive coordinator as well to get everybody involved, to keep everybody happy. You're in the city of Philadelphia who always wants to run the football. It's going to be a very difficult needle to thread for Kellen Moore. So I get a little bit of a dream team vibe on top of it. But now, if you give me rookie Saquon Barkley, I'm so all right. He hasn't been that since he injured himself. Doesn't have the same explosion, not the same player. Now, I think it's fair to point out when you look at his poor numbers last year, all right, that was a terrible offensive line, even a worse quarterback situation once Daniel Jones went down. So if you want to brush that off, I'm fine with it. I just don't. What they're telling me is this guy is special. This guy is significantly better than, remember, they had a 1,000-yard runner last year, DeAndre Swift. 2 years ago, they had a 1,200-yard rusher. You're in Miles Sanders. You're telling me he is significantly better than them. I think he's better, but I don't think he's significantly better than them.
How about this, John? I got a feeling that DeAndre Swift sign up in a crappy-ass Chicago has got Miles Sanders 2.0 all over it. I mean, you're going to have a rookie quarterback, a defensive-minded coach. You have no O-line, and you're paying that guy $10 million. Are you more shocked with that sign? Or no, I can't even throw that at you because I'm more shocked with the Barkley and Philadelphia sign than I am even with that. And doesn't it also show you, John, that the official cheat day, which is today, that deal was not consummated today. That deal was consummated 2 weeks ago, because if the Eagles, as reported, offered him a $6.5 million contract, you don't turn that down making 1.5, John, when you know that there's another buyer and there's potential markets out there that want to pay you $10 million. This deal was done a couple of weeks ago. Do you agree?
Oh, well, everything starts in Indianapolis. I mean, that's where people say legal tampering. This is actually a legal negotiating period. It's not tampering. You're allowed to negotiate. The legal tampering happens in Indianapolis. Yeah, I mean, look at Kirk Cousins today. Another massive deal. That guy's first ballot business Hall of Famer. He wasn't, he knew this was coming. Minnesota was trying to get him at a more cost-effective price, and that's, God bless Kirk, man. He maximizes everything he can. And
this guy had a ski mask on today, John, when he got that deal in Atlanta.
36 years old, he's going to be coming up an Achilles, and he's getting that kind of money from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, from Minnesota's perspective, they have nothing. I mean, they're going to go looking for Sam Darnold or something. So it's a disaster for them. But, how do you pay a guy like that what Atlanta paid for it? So I understand why they turned the page. My buddy Andrew Brandt calls them business Hall of Famers. There has never been anybody better than Kirk Cousins at maximizing his value. I tip my hat to him.
What do you make of the Bryce Huff sign?
I don't mind it. I do think it's about projection. I was looking, he's never played. Last year, he had a career high 480 snaps.
And he only played 47% of the snaps. Does that tell you anything else? Do you read more into that also?
Well, he's an emerging player. He's undrafted. He never got a chance to play. He really produced in a limited fashion. So it's all about projection. Hassan Reddick has had 6 seasons where he's played more than 480 snaps every season. So what you're trying to do is get a little bit younger, a little bit more cost effective, and have them for a longer period of time. And if it works, great. You know, you move into that seamlessly. Is he going to be a Hassan Reddick in that kind of production consistently? It's a big projection. I will say that. Hassan played 900. I believe it was 910 snaps last year. He played 490. He's not good against the run. Right now, he's a one-trick pony. He's great at rushing the passer, but is he a 3-down player? Much to be proven. But right now, they have Reddick, Sweat, Bryce Huff at $17 million. And you got to get Nolan Smith on the field, and you still have Brandon Graham. Obviously, at the bare minimum, one of them, Sweat and Reddick, is going to be gone. And because Huff plays on the left side defensively against the right tackle, it's probably going to be Reddick.
And with the market value for next year, right now, currently, Sweat's got a $21 million market value when you're talking, and the amount of reps, you talk about reps, John. Here's a guy, one of the reasons why I think his production was down is because he played like 300 extra reps than he did the previous season because they had very limited depth there. And now you're talking about another one-trick pony in this Bryce Huff kid. Like you said, I mean, they fell on their ear, John, last year against the run because they ran out of depth and they ran out of gas and the linebacking core. I mean, do you think they've gotten better so far on day one of free agency?
Yeah, that's an
on defense.
Well, I mean, there's so many moves to happen as I'm checking.
You believe the Xavier McKinney deal is a true deal that is out there that they're pursuing?
Yeah, they're trying. Yeah, they're definitely trying. I think they're trying to make Giants fans jump off bridges. They're trying to, and they're going to get a safety. So obviously they need to improve on the back seven. The question is how they handle this turnover on the edge. Because Sweat and Reddick, one of them's not going to be back. Maybe two of them's not going to be back. And how they handle that, I think, is going to say a lot. Carter's got to get better. Davis has got to get better. They have so many moves they have to make. Nakobe Dean's got to stay healthy. They need another linebacker. They need a safety. They probably need another corner. Vic will have them better prepared. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think you'll see as many mistakes from that standpoint. But yeah, way too early to say if they're going to be better on defense. They got a good player and they got a good pass rusher. But there's so many moves that have to be done. And offensively, I mean, Saquon Barkley's better than DeAndre Swift, but at what cost?
John, check this out. Look at this here now. Let's just, and I'm not even talking about cap hits here. So you got $25 million in a receiver. Your two tackles are north of $16 million a piece. We'll talk about the extension on Dickerson, which is great, by the way. Now he's at $21 million and the highest paid guy. You drafted a second rounder to play center. You got a third rounder at guard. You're paying $15 million for a tight end. You're probably going to, on May 2nd, pick up the 50-year option, and there's an $18 million, and I know that hits in 25, and then you got a $50 million quarterback. I mean, John, Jesus criminy, man. You're really loading up on that side of the ball, and it looks to me like you're top-heavy on offense, and you're shopping at the dollar store over on defense.
Well, they spent – Huff didn't come at the dollar store, and they're going to pay, I think, pretty big money for a safety. So I don't know if that's the case, but they were.
So you think they change and pivot and spend around $10 million, say, on the guy like from the kid Scott from the Stone from the Ravens, somebody like that, right?
No, I think they're going higher. I think they're trying to get McKinney. They're trying to get maybe Cam Curl if they can't get McKinney. I think they're going to be over 10 million at safety ultimately when it's all
Wow.
said and done. Um, Linebacker, I don't know what to think until things develop. I certainly they're not going to be in a Patrick Queen conversation, not
How
that
about a
high.
William Gay?
Yeah, I mean, I the kid from Tennessee, Al Shahir, I think makes some sense. Baker from Miami, he's got a history with Vic. I don't know how well that went last year, but he's out there. So there's some mid-range guys. Blake Cashman, I saw was a guy I liked, but he went to Minnesota.
John, am I
Um,
saying his name right? Luvu? That kid Panthers
Lubu,
linebacker?
yeah, he's probably the second one money wise compared to Queen. I think he might be. I think the next level down from him is where I think the Eagles will land, but haven't heard anything about linebackers yet. So that's probably going to be second base for the Eagles. The big talk coming in today was edge rusher Huff, which they got done. Safety McKinney, most likely. We'll see if they get it done. Those were the two names I heard coming into today. They got one. They're still in the conversation for two. Um, and then, you got to fill in from there. But yeah, the big surprise was definitely Saquon. Definitely.
The extension on Landon Dickerson. And I'll tell you something, John. You talk about a draft pick that they had a grand slam on. Anytime you can get a guy in the second, he turns out to be the highest paid player. He's one of the top players at his position. 87 million max value, 21 per. You've got it's almost like Upshaw and Shell to your left side of your offensive line. I mean, that was probably a major priority, making sure that stayed intact for the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, there was never any doubt that they were going to get an extension done with Landon Dickerson. I mean, he's been eligible for, I don't know, a couple weeks. So, they had a whole year on top of it to work with. But to get him done early is typical of the Eagles, the way they do business. It looks like a lot now, but you're already seeing some of the guards go, and it's the market is exploding. By the time 2 years down the road, that's how it works. Guys will surpass Landon, and it'll look cost effective. That's typically what the Eagles do. He was the second round pick. Remember, Devontae Smith was the first round pick, so to have an extra year to work with Devontae because of the 5th-year option, they don't have that with Landon Dickerson. So they were able to get it done, but there was never any concern that they were going to not get something done with Landon Dickerson. He's been a tremendous 2-time Pro Bowler already in his first 3 seasons. Um, Perfect with Jordan Mailata on that left side. Yeah, he's a core part of this, and that 2021 draft as a whole is looking really good for the Eagles with Devontae and Landon. And remember, Landon would have been a first-round pick if he didn't tear his ACL in the SEC championship game. So the Eagles took a bit of a dice roll on that. They got a first-round talent early in the second round. He's like 37th or something, so it was pretty early. But and he's hit. And yeah, I mean, they're going to get something done with Devontae too. But Devontae will wait for. If he should wait for Justin Jefferson to reset the market, and then everything's going to come up from there. Not that he's going to get that type of money, but he's got time to wait and bet on himself, and he's going to get paid as well.
Absolutely. You got CD out there too, and him probably want to see what that number's going to land on out there. I also want to ask you something about Fletcher Cox. I mean, John, I said this about this guy, 12 years, spectacular career, one of the absolute greatest interior defensive linemen that the Eagles have ever had in the history of their franchise. As you know, I bring it up a lot. Jerome and I played next to one another, and he loved playing in Philly. And would I compare him to Jerome? Yeah. I mean, I'm biased. I'd probably take JB over him because JB was more of a flash player. But you have a guy that's complete as ever, can play the run, can pass rush, showed you about being a pro. I mean, what a great football player, John, he was for the Eagles last year and for his entire 12 years. Truly kudos to him and what he brought to the Eagle organization.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about Fletch. I think if anything, somehow he's underrated. I joked if he put on a mummer's outfit and had a podcast and had the personality, people would realize how good he is. He's one of the best players in Eagles franchise history, one of the best draft picks in Eagles franchise history. People talked about Mount Rushmore, even Jason Kelsey will admit. And Jason said there's two players that he has played with that can play with anybody, regardless of scheme, coaching. You could put them in any system, they'd be successful. One was Jason Peters, one was Fletcher Cox. That's it. And he proved it over his career, two gapping with Chip Kelly and Billy Davis. Jim Schwartz, he had a love playing with Jim Schwartz, as most defensive linemen do. And then with the Big Fangio scheme, the gap and a half type system, he even excels in that late in his career. Unbelievable player, should be a Hall of Fame player. I don't know if he will be.
Close.
It's ironic because I think, and as I said, of the two that retired, and Jason's tremendous, but he's the better. There was a 5-6 year span where he was the best pure football player on the Eagles, and including the Super Bowl 52 season. He was their best player on the only Super Bowl team in this franchise's history. And somehow he went through 12 years and he's somehow underrated, at least by some.
Bryant Young just went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I would say, Bryant Young better than Fletcher Cox. And I think Bryant Young was a great player, came back from a catastrophic leg injury, was great, played on some Niner teams that won a Super Bowl. I get it. But Richard Seymour may be a tick better than Fletcher, but I'm with you, John. I thought he was better than Aaron Donald, and I'll say this why I say that.
I'm not going that far.
Oh, wait, I'll tell you why. Donald's a better pass rusher, but he can't play the run. They run at him. He's never been on a defense that was under 4.5 yards per carry. And if you want to run at him, you can run at him. He's 270 pounds. He's 6 feet tall, and he's not a physical defensive run-stopping guy. And the reason I said this about Fletcher is because Fletcher was both. He could stop the run, and he can rush the passer. Surely the greatest pass rushing 3 technique of all time is Aaron Donald. Sapp's probably the greatest complete 3 technique in NFL history. But this guy here, Fletcher Cox, he's one of those old school guys that could play both the run and the pass.
Yeah, I'm with you with Fletcher. I'm not going to go with you with Aaron. Aaron Donald is one of the best defensive players in the history of football, period. End of sentence. One of the very few people in that conversation. He does it differently, but nobody can wreck a game quicker than Aaron Donald. And when they do have trouble, a lot of times it's Aaron and the other guy's not holding up. He's on a different level. But there was about a 4-5 year run where he was the best defensive tackle in the world, not named Aaron Donald. So it's one of those things, here in Philadelphia, Charles Barkley was, one of the greatest players in the NBA, but unfortunately played in the same era as Michael Jordan. And he was number 2 for a while. Fletcher was number 2 for a long while, and that's not bad. And he was one of the best defensive linemen in football. He deserves all the accolades in Eagles history. Again, one of the best. I'm in the modern era. It's Reggie, it's Brian Dawkins, and it's Fletcher Cox. Those are the top 3.
2 last questions for you here, and I want to expand one last thing on it. Chris Jones in his prime or Fletcher Cox in his prime? Who would you draft?
Slight edge to Chris Jones, but slight edge.
That says a lot because Chris Jones, really, I think, is going to the Hall of Fame.
Chris is really good. Really good. Back in the day, coaches used to have conference calls with reporters like me, and Every single coach, and I mean, when I say every single coach, I mean 100%. When there were offensive-minded head coaches, we'd ask him about the game plan. What are you doing this week? What's the goal? Every single one said block 91 first. That was the first name on their mind. When people are game planning for you, that's when you know you're good. And that's every week. That was the opposing coach when they were talking about the Eagles defense. It started with Fletcher Cox every single week.
Finally, John, at 22, with what they're doing, and I know what they're going to do this week, next week, leading up to April, is going to be a precursor to what they do in that draft for 3 days. But just today on March 11th, you think they trade down, up, stay? Do they go traditional offensive line, which they need some depth at anyway? Do they stay there, or do they address the defense more in the draft, starting at 22?
Well, that's what I always laugh at. I get why people do them, but I always laughed at mock drafts before free agency. It's like, what's the point? I mean, that the whole point of the system is you go through free agency. And by the way, I argue the NFL should have the draft before free agency, but that's another story. You go through free agency and you see, what happens. And obviously, if you're looking for an edge rusher on, March 6th, and you sign the biggest edge rusher in the class, well, you're not going to take an edge rusher in the first round anymore. Right. So that's kind of how it works. So it remains to be seen what moves they do. But just from the board, there are so many offensive tackles that are in the range of 10 to 20. One of them will fall if you go back to 22. And that's an Eagles foundational principle. So you'll get good value, whereas they need a corner, for instance. But there's like 4 corners that belong in that conversation. And that means they'll get pushed up the board, and teams will get desperate, say, if we better go get a corner. So they're probably not going to trickle down. If you want a corner, long story short, you better trade up. If you're happy with one of the tackles, you'll probably get tremendous value by staying put, and get a really good player should probably go higher than where you get them. So tackle's a good bet if you're a betting man for the Eagles, because there's so many of them. Yes, offensive tackle.
Yeah, there's like you said. Plus, John, the 5 quarterbacks they're going to take, the 5 QBs, you're talking about, plus that's going to squeeze down the corners, the receivers, and the O-linemen. You're going to pick a good O-lineman up in round 1 and 2. Could be even 3 that you're going to pick a pretty good player, because, John, this is one of the deepest drafts at the O-line I've seen in 14 years.
Yeah, and especially in the first round, offensive tackle. I think Daniel Jeremiah had 8 guys between 10 and 20. Well, 8 teams aren't taking offensive tackles.
Absolutely. So, hey, I'm with you, John. This Saquon Barkley thing, man. You and I may be the only. Hey, get this. Everyone's throwing flowers at this thing here. I'm more with you. I'd never thought he lived up to the number 2 draft pick. And on top of that, when you look at his history, I just don't see the production out of year 1. He's
it's Philadelphia. It's Philadelphia, Dan. I mean, they.
Oh no,
I've
learned. Hey, John. Let me just say this. I said something about the Bears having an interest, like Howie has an interest in everyone, and you say this all the time. Howie has an interest
about
in
everybody.
That doesn't mean he's doing anything.
No. No.
And so people are like, "Why are you?" I'm not trying to do anything. Okay, I know Poles. He's a good dude. I know people in that. I know Duke Tobin, like Duke Tobin. He's constantly looking around for guys.
Duke's awesome, by the way, because he's got a staff of like 3 people. Where the Eagles Howie's got like 23 personnel. Duke's got like 3 people.
Hey, let me tell you what Duke Tobin told me. He goes, because the thing up in Cincinnati, John, that they're floating around a $30 million deal in Minnesota for Jefferson. They put the tag on T. Higgins. T. Higgins goes like this: "Hey, You know, hey, by the way, Xavier McKinney just signed with
he's
the
signed
Packers.
with the Packers. Yeah. So he's off the board.
You
So
think
that's
that puts
one.
that kid Stone back in there?
I think they'll go for higher. Like I said, Cam Curl, I think it'll be a little bit higher. We'll see who they like. Potentially, they want to bring in a safety. They want to prepare. They want to go younger. I still think Justin Simmons has something left. But Xavier McKinney got $25 million in year one, so that's a lot of money. A lot of money.
Woo, it's like Monopoly. John, thank you so much, my friend. As the news turns each and every single day, this thing's going to be wild, man, this whole week. At least they're taking swings.
It's already wild. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Don't forget, folks, Birds 365 in the morning. I'm sure the world will have turned by then for John in the morning. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate it, my friend. Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Xavier McKinney. He's an Eagle. He's an Eagle. Told you so. Shut your face. Give me a break. The agent float. Hey, by the way, not to take a shit on LJ, because LJ just heard what a beat writer said in New York. LJ's not wrong. Okay? The agent floated that out to raise the price for the Packers. And the Eagles said, I don't think so. And they passed. Okay? 17 per year for Xavier. Oh! Oh! And by the way, John McMullen, thank you for being one of the very few people on Big Sills Island that thinks that the Barkley sign's a shit sign. It doesn't make sense. He's not that good a player like that. He's not. He's not that good of a player when we're talking $15 million a year. Both John and I are on the same page, believe it or not. And we're not on the same page. But watch this. Oh, my God. We got Saquon. I'm like, well, Saquon who? Oh, my God. I feel validated. No, African Surf, I don't need anybody to validate me. I validate Big Sills with a stamp. The Big Sills stamp. That's what I do. The Big Sills stamp. You think I need somebody validating me? That'll be a far cry, Junior. Okay? You and John are just stroking each other's. Oh! Because why? Xavier McKinney went to the Packers? You lost him. Well, you lose a safety you need and you sign a running back you don't need. How you doing? You sign an overrated running back and an overhyped one to boot. Saquon was the offense in New York. New York had an offense? So wait a minute. The quarterback and the tight end made more money than Barkley. That's what they thought of him. Darren Waller and the quarterback made more money than Barkley. And they let Barkley walk out of New York going, see ya. By the way, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. And the Eagles signed him for $15 million a year. Two. Packers. Baby, are the Packers now players. Wow. They better use this dude like Shady McCoy for that type of cash. Damn right. Xander's right. This guy better be amazing in pass protection. He better have like 78 catches, 1,400 yards. He better look like Brian Westbrook. He better look like Westbrook for that kind of money. We got two of the best running backs in the NFL, Hurts and Barkley. Barkley's never been one of the best running backs in the NFL. Look at his numbers. Dude, outside of the first year, he's never been one of the better backs. Look at his years. He's had 2 years of good ball in 6. Look, that's not being made. That's not made up. That's not made up. Sills, I get it. You don't agree with it. But stop hating. I'm not hating. No, I can hate the deal. I can hate the deal. It just happened. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to drive it home so you never forget. Ever. I thought McKinney was coming here, but Howie decided only to pay a running back. So Howie missed out on McKinney for $17 million to sign a running back. Let me go here before I take a timeout. So Howie Roseman's thinking today was that instead of getting a safety that I really need in Xavier McKinney, who's getting $17 million by the Packers, he thought he would get an overhyped, overrated, often injured running back with incentives at 15-8 and thought that was more of a priority than adding a quality safety. Where's the logic? Where's the logic? Your defense sucked. Your offense supposedly was top 10, but you thought to add a $16 million running back per year instead of spending that money on a safety like McKinney. Is that right? Even John McMullen, who doesn't agree with me, calls me Shock Jock Sills, goes, I don't get it. It makes no sense. Even if you, Arthur, think Barkley's good, how many people in here believe that Saquon Barkley was more of a signing priority than signing Xavier McKinney? And guess what he said about Bryce Huff? He's a one-trick pony. Well, shit, you got one already over there. And Hassan Reddick. That's why, and that guy's never been drafted. And you paying that guy how much? You're paying him big money too now, right? 17 mil. I'm okay. That's right. Xander's like this. They paid Huff Reddick money, and he's never been Reddick. So really, quite frankly, the only really decent sign you've had today is the extension on Dickerson. Boy, you spend a lot of money on positions. You gamble with Huff. You sign a running back, and you lose out on a position at safety. No, African Surf goes, Sills thinks he can be a GM. No, all you have to use is some common sense, dingbat. Think about it. Okay, dingbat? Since when was running back a priority on the team? At the expense of $16 million a year. I got to powder my nose. Gary Cobb's going to join us. Okay. No. I actually, you're right. I do like the sign. But then when Xander and John put their spin on it, so you're asking Bryce Huff to do what Hassan Reddick does, and he's never been Hassan Reddick. That's a gamble. You're basically just replacing a player for the same money that you're paying one guy now. It's not an upgrade over Reddick, or it may be actually be a downgrade. Huh. Gary Cobb, bottom of the hour. Woo! Eagles burning that dough. Maybe burning the 2024 season on March 11th. Oh, my God. Good night. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Imagine for a moment that you went to work today and when you came home, you were catastrophically injured. Your life and your family's life. That's what happened to union construction worker Mike Little.
I was scared of what the end was going to be, but to be 100% honest with you, I knew I was going to be all right just by talking with Brian. In my heart, I just knew everything was going to be all right.
Call the firm and find out why they say, "We got this." Call 215-458-2222.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome to the show that doesn't panic like the Eagles. Big Sills, Gary Cobb, bottom of the hour. Saquon Barkley, what a bum sign. Hope, hey, you want to go over to the cheerleader network known as WIP, right? Oh my God! We just signed Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley was told to freaking get out of New York. Holy cow. They just said, I don't want anything for the guy. I don't care. Let's see how many games. Here's a prediction. Saquon Barkley will play 8 games for the Eagles 2024. Bang! Duck and weave. Duck and weave. Duck and weave. Oof. If Barkley can't stay healthy with Eagles O-line, he can't stay healthy for anyone. True? Sills, what do I think of the Kirk Cousins? I'll tell you what, I'm stunned. That guy got a bag of money, man. He got a bag of money. If Barkley can stay healthy, he's going to be a beast. He's never been a beast. Saquon Barkley, say it with me, has never been a beast. That guy doesn't strike fear in my heart if I'm in the NFC. He does not. He never has. I never looked at him as one of the better backs in the game. I never have. Vegas. McCaffrey. Henry. Who else? Alvin Kamara. Wait a minute. How many people think that Saquon Barkley's had a better career than Alvin Kamara? Can I tell you if you look at his numbers, hey, Xander, you should put Mark Ingram's numbers up to Saquon Barkley's numbers. They're pretty compatible. And you could even make you could even make the argument Mark Ingram had a better career. Joe Mixon has had a better career than that guy. But he plays in New York. He went to Penn State. And he was the number 2 pick. Now, if you're telling me this, hey, Sills, Barkley was a second rounder, and he was a good, yeah, all right. Well, he was the second pick. And someone goes like this, wait until he plays behind our O-line. Won't matter. Won't matter. He's not as good as you think. And especially the $15 million. But Sills, do you think having a shit quarterback like Jones and a horrible O-line contributes to the lack of production? Yes, I do. But if he was so good, why isn't he Derrick Henry? That's fantastic. Derrick Henry, make no mistake about it, worst O-line in football, worst quarterback in football, a defensive-minded coach, moved off a wide receiver and carried his football team to a conference title with just him. That is spectacular. Derrick Henry had 2,000 yards on a football team that had the worst O-line. That is $15 million. Not 1,022. Dimes Jones. That's when you pay that kind of money. Hey, DeAndre Swift, good luck to you, kid. You and Miles Sanders are going to be pen pals soon. Hey, man, should have stayed in Philly. Yeah, but they didn't want to pay me. They lowballed me. Yeah, me too. At least I got my bag of money. Xander's right. They got their bag of money, and they ran to it. DeAndre Swift didn't make a sign for his legacy. He made a sign for his family's future. Nothing wrong with that. Can never criticize a player, especially at that position, for doing what's in the best interest of his family and his family's wealth. There's no shade on that. But for the Bears to sign him and spend that money, $10 million on a guy, when you have like one of the absolute worst O-lines, it makes no sense. And you're going to get a rookie quarterback. Dude, that guy, Caleb Williams, is going to be Bryce Young in Chicago. Gary Cobb, bottom of the hour. I'm so happy McMullen agreed. And John doesn't agree with shit with me. He doesn't. Okay? Oh, my God. We got Barkley. You got Barkley. You signed a one-trick pony. And like Xander said, Bryce Huff They want him to be Hassan Reddick, and he's never been, and they're going to move off of Reddick. And they, instead of spending the money on Xavier McKinney, they spend it on an overrated Barkley. Sounds solid. As the content turns, it never gets dull in Philly. Holy shit. $15 million with incentives for a guy who's never been an elite running back. Hey, Sills, we still have that stud Blankenship. Yeah, no, I got it. No, you're going to go far with Reed Blankenship. McKinney signing with the Eagles. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you're going to pump the brakes. Oh, now McKinney sucks, right, Devin? Guys were tooting the horn of the Eagles signing the guy. Now he sucks too, right? Oh, okay. There's plenty of safeties out there. Yeah. Saquon is elite. Yeah. Hey, Arthur, you're the same guy that told me Rashad Penny was elite, aren't you? He's elite too. Rashad Penny. No, it's 15-8 with incentives. $15 million, and you don't want to bring the guy that you need the most in. You sign a guy. And you bring back old man Graham. And you're trading Reddick or Sweat or both. I can't wait. Hey. This is too good, dude. This is absolutely too good. Okay? You know the difference, man? Stop. What difference? Barkley was not a priority. Running back was not a priority on that team. Jesus criminy, guy. How many people does Hurts need? You got an entire symphony orchestra over on that side of the ball, and you've got a horrible maestro. Hurts is not the right maestro for all that, obviously. Oh, boy. On March 11th, with all that money on the offense, if you guys don't win 15 ball games, it's a turd season. Sills, why is this whole crazy world would you sign Barkley over Henry? I completely agree. If I'm going to spend that kind of money on a back, I'm going to spend it on the back. And what's this too, my friend? I'm going to send Barkley to a 2-year deal. Because I don't know about the third year. I don't know where he is. I'll tell you what, you see him working out? That guy is Xander, you see that video of him? He is ready to roll. I'd love to see, Derrick Henry in Buffalo. You imagine Derrick Henry in Buffalo. I was so happy to see that John McMullen completely thought that the signing of Saquon Barkley was a joke. $15.8 million you signed with incentives on a position of non-need. You lose out on Xavier McKinney, who signs a $17 million annual deal. And that's a monster need on that side of the ball. They lose him out to Green Bay. Barkley's never been that player with the number 2 pick. He's never been a star back. He's been a really good back. You know what a star back is? The guy's in Tennessee. That's a star back who runs people like me over. Holy cow. And you're gambling, like Xander said, on Bryce Huff, who can't play the run, to be Hassan Reddick. And he's never been Reddick. And you're shopping both Swift and Reddick, and you bring back Brandon Graham on a farewell tour. Hey, man, I thought victory tours are what you celebrate in Philly. Gary Cobb, please talk some sense into these folks. I mean,
well, you know, I know people are excited. I mean, I
you see the potential of Saquon. I know in looking at him, so many times you see where he is, because he is a special talent. But the injuries, you got to keep him healthy. That's one thing. So every game, every time he touches the ball, you're holding your breath. He's got to stay healthy. But he is a special talent, meaning that if he's one-on-one, there are very few guys that are really very confident they can tackle him out in the open field all the time one-on-one, because he's got tremendous strength and he's got tremendous speed. The thing is you're putting a lot of pressure on the new offensive coordinator. He has got to spread things out, and they got to be dominant as an offense, because you're putting that kind of money into a running back. And that means they're really walking away from their formula, which was, you don't pay the running back. We can get running backs. We need that offensive line. We need our defense. We need to put, let's say, money in the hands of cornerbacks. You need to have cornerbacks. You need to have some good safety.
Hopefully we can reconnect here with Gary, because I loved what he was saying here. And let's see if we can reconnect with him here and we can get him back, because I want to go over exactly what he says. Now, look, like I said, he's a flash player. I don't think he's a spectacular player. And again, his resume speaks to this in what he's done. It's one thing to talk about a potential. And it's one thing to sit there and say that a player like Barkley is a special ball player, but when he doesn't put special numbers up, how do you make that evaluation on someone? Like I've said this before about a player like Saquon Barkley. Barkley is a flash player. He's going to make flash plays for you, but he's not a consistent ball player. Look, like I said, and again, to some of your points, hey, Sills, you just got through saying that the Giants are a train wreck organization. They are a train wreck. So let me ask you this. Is the offense going to go through Hurts, Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae? Who's it going through? It surely ain't going through your quarterback. 962, 13-12, 593, and 34 yards in the last 4 years. My friends, I don't know about you. Okay? I don't know about you. But I don't see it. I just don't see it. A lot of people, listen, you're enamored by the move. You're enamored by the move. Hopefully we can reconnect here with Gary and get his take on this here, because, again, the numbers just don't dictate that on what people think of him. They just don't. What's the one thing he's going to bring that's a positive? Better red zone numbers? Okay. Better red zone? That's 15 or more if he plays every game, his average. He averages 70 yards a game. Okay? But he's never done 50. He's never been over 1,300. He's never been over 1,320 in his entire career. Okay? Leak goes, who is Huff, honestly? Look, I think had a really good pass rushing year last year. I kind of like the sign, but listening to John talk, John thinks he's a one-trick pony, and so does Xander. When you look at his number, he was only on the field, and then when everyone started saying Sills, he's only on the field 47% of the time. Saquon Barkley will never touch 1,500 yards in his entire career. Ever again. He'll never see that number. Why? Because he's not durable enough. And he's not that talented. He's never been. I'll take that back. His first year, I thought he was really good. Let's see what that number was. Yeah, his first 2 years, actually, if you think about it, he was at roughly at around 5 yards, right around 5 yards a carry, I think he was at. Somewhere in that room. Then after that, here, 5, 4, 6, 1, 8, 3, 7, 4, 4. In the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years, he's only been over 4 yards a carry once. That's $15 million. Hey, how about this? Cody goes here. I think maybe we're not connecting here. I'm not saying Barkley can't add something to the Eagles. At $16 million, that's not where you wanted to be. No, it's not 12-3. It's not. Even 12. Even 12. Brian says, hopefully this is the Roseman downfall. Oh, God. Here's the thing, though. I don't want the guy fired. I want the guy to stick to what he does best, being a bookworm. He's good with numbers, like the Batman guy. See, I'm good with numbers and calculations. Yeah? How he's good with calculations and numbers. I had to move the money. So I moved Reddick so that I could sign Huff. Yeah. I think you talk more shit about the Eagles than the Giants. I think Barkley would be a different player with us. Yeah, okay, sure, guy. Geno Stone, shit, is now signed. Oh, Xander, please tell me the money. Damn! But you got Barkley. Geno Stone, no, that was my number 6 guy. McKinney's gone. No. 2 years. Oh, my God. Wait a minute. 2 years, $15 million? You could have signed Stone for $7 million and you passed on him because you gave Barkley $16 million. Oh, my God. What an absolute colossal disaster. What a disaster. Who's Geno Stone? A player you needed and was in the AFC title game. You know where Saquon Barkley was? He was in New Jersey at a Waffle House. No more. This guy's eating at my favorite restaurant now, the Palm, thanks to the Eagles. Shit, this guy's going to get a luxurious home down in Miami now because of the Eagles' money. Okay? Why does Sileo blame us? Blame who? I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming your dumbass GM for putting a priority on a position that didn't need to be. The positions are linebacker, edge, and corner and safety. Wait, SOS to some of you asshats. What was the reason that your football team fell apart last year? Was it because of your running back? Or was it because of your defense? We addressed it, though, with Bryce Huff. We got McKinney! Holy cow, I can't wait to see the wonderful reviews. Howie Roseman does it again and signs Saquon Barkley. What an look, it's not quite the shit sign that the Bears did, but this thing's right there. Oh, and I can't wait. The spectacular coaching of Nick Sirianni. And I can't, oh my God, this is good. How are we going to use Barkley? How are you going to use Barkley? You're going to give him 20 carries? Or are you going to give him 5 a game? Pay a guy $16 million to give him 5 carries? 10? How many carries does Barkley get? Shit, you're paying him. Let's just say 12-7. How many carries does Barkley get? Oh, wait a minute. That takes targets away from A.J. Owens. 20 carries. Anthony says that Saquon Barkley is going to get 20 carries a game. So, I'm not very good at math. So Anthony Lear says 20. Let's see here. 20 over 17. Let me go here. 20 over 17. So you think Saquon Barkley is going to get 340 carries? AJ is going to have 100 catches and 1,400 yards, and you're going to give Barkley 340 carries. What's Devontae get? 15 to 20? You haven't had a back in 5 years do that, but all of a sudden, you're now going to give. How many carries has Saquon Barkley ever carried in a season? And let's take a look at that. And by the way, because he's older now, I'm sure that doesn't matter to the health of the player. Saquon Barkley stats. How many carries has he had most in his career for a respected? Let's see. Saquon Barkley carries, attempts. The most he's ever carried was in 22, 295. Last year, he had 247 carries. So let's take a look at him. 247 carries divided by 14. Last year, he averaged 17 carries. So you think you're going to give Saquon Barkley 17 carries a game when you've not given a running back in the Philadelphia offense at any time 17 carries consistently, but he's the guy. So is Hurts not going to have as many passing attempts? Ooh, A.J. Owens is not going to like that. A.J. Owens. Big Sills. With McKinney gone, what do you think we should do for safety? Hey, man, would you think of trading for Budda Baker? Would you think of trading him for Budda Baker? A.J. Brown, Balin's 49ers. And 49ers are quiet. They don't need to do anything. What position do they need? Let's be real. Howard would have gotten fired by Laurie if he didn't sign Barkley. Laurie is a puppet master. So you think that the owner of the Eagles signed a running back that's older and already has 600 carries in his career to a $16 million a year deal is a good sign. Oh, my God. This is really, really crazy. There's nobody in their right mind that would think that sign's a good sign. I don't agree with Skip Bayless much, but holy shit, man. I mean, Barkley doesn't scare me. I don't get it. If we're rating no-name corners on their playoff game attendance, then what Waffle House was McKinney at? No, you're right, Slagger. You should pay $25 million for 3 INTs with both your corners. So which player is getting traded since they paid Saquon, AJ, or Devontae. Sweat. So you're going to get worse on defense. If you trade Hassan, would we not agree? Didn't say it was a good. Do you guys agree? If they get rid of Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, they're worse on defense. No matter what they do in the draft. Because they're not very good at the draft. Huff and Barkley. Does it make your team better? No. Sales, do you think Patrick Surtain is better than Ramsey or Xavier Howard? I do. This dude is such a clown. Any move the Eagles make? No, not true. I thought the Landon Dickerson ass bag was a spectacular move. Best player at his position, highest paid player. You drafted him in the second round. It's a great play. We celebrated Fletcher Cox's brilliant career. Not true, jackass. You only hear what you want to hear. You sound like some of those idiots that I heard last night at the Oscars. Talk about disconnected people. I could have swore I saw Howie with his binoculars in the upper mezzanine there at the Kodak. They're at the Kodak, man. I was like, well, okay. Talk about out of touch. It's a good show, though, I guess. Feel like weirdos. Saquon Barkley, are you crazy? We're better on offense. How is that possible? Where in his career did you see spectacular? Show me. You want me to show you spectacular on a shitty team? I'll show you spectacular. And if you could have spent the same money to get him, Derrick Henry. You want to spend the same money? Send him to a 2-year deal if you think he's not has anything left in it. Oh, what makes you think Barkley has anything in the tank left? He wasn't great last year. He was on a horrible team. Well, would we all consider Zaner, am I right? Henry was on a shitty team last year too, right? He was on a terrible team. So he had 1,200 yards and only 280 carries. Basically as many carries as what's-his-name did. And he still had 4.5 yards a carry on the shitty Titans. And it's all him. So here's Henry at the same price. He's 29 years old, 1,200 yards, 1,500 yards. In 8 games, 3 years ago, he had 937 on his way to $2,000. Oh, speaking of $2,000, the year before that, $2,000 and 17 touchdowns. The year before that, 1,640. You want to know spectacular? That's spectacular. Barkley, 900 yards, 1,300 yards, 500 yards, 34 yards. That's not spectacular. Okay, so Gary had some issues with his internet. That's cool. We'll get him back when we can. Still, seriously, God bless you for dealing with this. Just Colin Daly. Okay, it's all good. Jacobs and McKinney was the move. Okay, Leak. You wanted Josh Jacobs instead of Henry and McKinney? You're right. Leak, you're right. That was the move. Leak is right. Okay, that's the move. Instead, you signed a running back who's losing tread on his tires, and you pass on a safety. 2 safeties. One you could have got cheaper because running back was a priority. Packers signed Josh Jacobs. 4 years. $48 million. Woo! So wait, they get Josh Jacobs and they get Xavier McKinney, Packers are better than you. The Packers are now officially better than the Philadelphia Eagles. The Packers have now moved ahead of you. You know why? Your offense, okay, your defense blows. Look at how people will still think you're better than Green Bay when you lost to Tyrod Taylor, Drew Lock, and a cast of shitbags at the back end of the season and blown out by Baker Mayfield. We're better. Where do you see that? The Eagles are way better than the Packers. How can you say that when you went 1-7 and were destroyed on defense? Dude, you don't have one defensive football player that's worth a shit outside of Sweat, Reddick, and Carter. The rest of them are bums. Woo! Man, Green Bay, what a day! What a day for the Packers. Damn! Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. That's how you do it. Way to go, Green Bay. You know, they just don't only get the quarterback position right. They also get the roster right. And the Eagles are turds with their roster. Woo! Packers have cap space. You got $50 million in cap space, dude. Milton Williams isn't a bum. This is choking me up here, man. I can't take it any longer. Sills, you're biased. I'm biased because the Pack. Wait a minute. Look at this guy. Look at what he says. Sills, you're biased because you signed Bryce Huff and Saquon Barkley, and they signed Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. And I'm biased. Let's look at Josh Jacobs' numbers versus Barkley's numbers. And okay, look, Henry's probably a Hall of Famer, so that's probably not fair, right? Josh Jacobs' stats. Let's take a look at his numbers. And let's see what he does. Let's see what he brings to the table. Okay? What was that number that man, we paid Barkley huge. 4 years, $48 million. You're paying this guy 10. Basically, Swift's. Am I right, Xander? The Packers paid Josh Jacobs what DeAndre Swift got in Chicago. Does that sound right? Okay. Oh, my God. Josh Jacobs has had a better career than Saquon Barkley, and he's on the shitty Raiders. He's on the shitty Raiders. 805 last year. 1653 the year before. 872. Here in the last 4 years. Here's the last 4 years for Josh Jacobs. 1,065 and 12 touchdowns. 872, 9 touchdowns. 1653, 12 touchdowns. Last year, 805, 6 touchdowns. How many people in here believe? And by the way, are the Raiders not a train wreck? Okay, that's right. Thanks, Will. Giants were shitty too. Let's see what Barkley did. Saquon Barkley last 4 years. Saquon Barkley stats. His last 4 years. Here we go. Last year, 962, 1212, 593, and 34. Let's get back to Gary Cobb here. And Gary joins us here now. Gary, thanks a lot, my friend. I appreciate you reconnecting here. Gary, Josh Jacobs just signs with Green Bay along with McKinney up in with the Packers. And you were talking about Barkley. I want to throw something at you here. In the last 4 years of Saquon Barkley in New York, 962, 1312, 593, and 34 yards rushing. You believe that's a 1,500-yard back or a $15 million a year back?
It's definitely not. It's not. The numbers aren't there. But in fairness, that he was playing on a garbage offense. I mean, the line wasn't any good. Quarterback really, he could run some, but he wasn't much of a quarterback. So, and he was injured too much. That's the big thing with him. I thought he was injured. He's got to stay healthy. But just looking at him, when I looked at him, I would see where they got 4 guys just focusing on him. I mean, don't even worry about anybody else in the offense because everybody else stinks. We just got to stop Barkley and we win the game. I mean, that's the kind of offense he was playing on. So he is, I mean, when you talk about, a guy with a combination of tremendous size, tremendous speed, the big thing is you got to be able to have a offensive coordinator who can utilize him and all the weapons that the Eagles have, because it really puts a defense really in a quandary because Barkley runs like a 4.3 40. The guy is fast. He stands about he probably weighs 220, 230. And he's a tough matchup. And so I know they're thinking of spreading him out, getting him in situations where they got him in a mismatch situation, things like that. But, I tell you what, the thing is, with them making this move, their offensive coordinator, Kellen, whatever.
Kellen Moore. Hey, but
Kellen
Gary,
Moore.
So are you telling me they're going to give Barkley to justify that money? You mean to tell me you think they're going to give him 20 carries a game?
I'd say, 15 to 20, but they're also going to get the ball to him out in space. I think that's the main thing, is they would like to get him the ball out in situations where he's one-on-one. That's what they've got to do because he can turn, the guy is so fast that if somebody misses an angle or whatever it is, the dude is gone. I mean, he does have that type of speed, scary speed of a running back. The thing is, you got to keep him healthy. I mean, if he's not healthy, then he just fleeced the Eagles. But
hey,
but
Gary,
they are definitely, yeah.
So Gary, running back was a major priority to spend that kind of money?
Now I'll tell you, I'm shocked by them doing this because this wasn't not their formula. You know that you got all this talent in the receiver position, at the tight end position, and with the offensive line they have, if they got a back that just can hit the holes, they could get a young kid who could come out and he can run behind that line, So I'm really shocked. But if they're going to make the move, the thing they got to do, man, they've got to have an outstanding offensive coordinator, and he's got to come out with a knife in his hand, and every game he's going for the jugular. I mean, he's trying to put people away, and they got to have that kind of confidence in him because the right offensive coordinator with these weapons they have, they'll be tough to stop. I'll tell you, they really, because I don't know who you're going to match up with Barkley. The dude is a tough matchup. You already got tough matchups with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and then, you also got Dallas Goedert. They got a lot of weapons, but the thing you got to do is you got to have a guy that can utilize these weapons. And
but Gary, what about the defense?
Well, I'll ask the same question. That's why I'm shocked. I'm going like, do you know something I don't know? Meaning, I thought that the priority was going to be making moves defensively to fill in some of the holes
Gary,
they got.
They're asking this Huff guy now to be Reddick, and he's never been Reddick.
Yeah.
And they've got Reddick on the chopping block, and they're even now shopping Sweat.
I know.
I'm trying to figure out, and the way it's looking, it looks like they really are going to go into the season with Zach Cunningham and Nakobe Dean as their backers. I mean, what are you doing over there?
I thought they were going to do something at the linebacker position. I mean, this is what I thought. I thought that they were going to be making more moves defensively because that's where I see the need. I mean, you got to do something at the running back position. But I'm shocked. I'll be honest with you, and so I'm just looking at it from a standpoint that they must be thinking about scoring a lot of points. And, I'm surprised that they make this move because it's really not their formula. It's not the formula that they've been using. And defensively, they got to know they got holes on that defense.
You know what, though? You make a point right there, Gary. Since they've gone out of the box with Barkley, let's just put that to rest over there and go, okay, whether you like the deal or not. The one thing they did do is show you that they pivoted. They pivoted in thinking, could that be Patrick Queen? That potentially they could spend $18 million on that side of the ball and bring in a linebacker? Because, like you said, this is not their formula. Well, maybe there's been an organizational switch and a change where they're going to go, hey, we've got to sign a guy out here now. Because if you sign Queen, put him in the middle of the defense, you're automatically improved.
Well, I'm surprised. This is not their formula. This is clearly not their formula. They're thinking differently. Maybe Kellen went in there and sold them on this. Somebody sold them. And, if he stays healthy, I tell you, offensively, they're going to be very difficult to stop. I will say that. But, defensively, there are holes back there, Come on. We saw that last year. We saw a defense that was, mediocre at best. And so, at the linebacker position, you got to have guys that can tackle people in open field and they can cover and everybody was attacking the middle of their defense, going after their linebackers, So, like I said, they've got a change of thought. Yeah. Meaning they're thinking differently, and so, of course, we can't go in there. Even if we had a press conference, they're not going to give us their formula, but their formula is different than the one they've been utilizing because we never saw them do this with a running back. And even though I'll tell you, if he could stay healthy and they utilize him the right way, they should be able to score a lot of points because he really can put pressure on the defense, especially when they can't move everybody down in the box against him like they did when he was with the Giants. When he was with the Giants, he goes into the backfield. They don't care who's out there. They didn't have any good receivers. And then they got a quarterback can't get the ball to him. So everybody's stacked the box, stop Barkley. Who cares what else they have? And Gary, that's what he had to play against. And he won't be playing against that when he plays with the Eagles.
Finally, am I right to say this about Fletcher Cox and his retirement? In 12 years, he's been spectacular. He'll go down as one of the greatest Eagle, not just defensive tackles, but players of all time. He's been a consummate pro. He's checked all the boxes. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. And if I had to put this, and and you are probably too, a little biased, that Jerome was probably the best talented defensive tackle in the Super Bowl era that the Eagles have ever had. But boy, I'll tell you what, he's in the conversation and he's in the room as truly one of the best. And probably the reason you may side with Fletcher is because of longevity.
Yeah.
Jerome was obviously cut short, and I'm biased. So just somebody, you played with Jerome. I played with Jerome. You played with him in Philly. Am I off base with that by putting him in that conversation with Jerome?
I think you'd have to. I've seen Fletcher, be very dominant. I mean, and when they made their run to the Super Bowl, I mean, he was dominant. The year before that, he has been consistent, and even last year, you saw him have a very good year. At the end of his career, so. I think has played well enough that he's going to be under serious consideration to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be definitely, you have to recognize him as one of the best defensive tackles the Eagles have ever had. And because he could take over a game, and that's the thing when you got a player who teams are going to come in and they're going to try to double team him all the time because the guy can take over a game. And I saw him do that numerous times where he just was unblockable. He just, it was living in the other team's backfield. He was causing turnovers. And so, I take my hat off to him. And then the thing that I will give him a lot of credit for is that he grew into a leader, talking to some of the young guys, kicking them up their butt when they need to be kicked up their butt. And he grew into a leader too. So I give Fletcher a lot of credit. And the recent success of this team had a lot to do with him. And he's a guy that they're definitely going to miss.
Absolutely. Just a tremendous career. Gary, Thank you so much. Hey, way to go, Howie. And never Dullsville at NovaCare.
This is a shocker. It shocked me. Because I thought, oh, man, they're not going to go after Barkley. People talking that stuff.
But the money, Gary, going after Barkley's one thing, but with incentives, potentially 15-8, that's what, hey, real quick, what shocked you more, them signing Barkley or them paying Barkley?
They're paying him. Him. I mean, I'm shocked. I know they got more money to work with and everything. But, I know Howie's not going to tell me why, but they've got a different game plan, and we'll see how it works.
Absolutely, Gary. Thank you, my friend.
All right, have a good one. Oh yeah, by the way, my development, man, all the electricity's out, man.
Oh my God, is that why you're in your car?
Yeah, I had to get. I mean, they're coming out to the light, the whole area, whatever. Something happened that.
No, I know what happened. They realized that the money that they're paying Barkley, they had to shut the grid down for a little bit because of the money that they're paying the guy. You're a casualty of Barkley today.
I couldn't get out of the development because that's what the people want to talk about. They got the electricity down. They're not talking about that. Hey, what do you think about this Barkley thing?
Everybody lost their power. Hey, G Cobb, what's up with this? Can you believe it, man? They actually threw a bag of money at somebody at the running back position. Dude, love you, Gary. Get your power back on. See you next week. Thank you so much, my friend.
All righty.
All right. So let me figure this out here. Yeah, hey, man, you guys shut down the power in the guy's area here. Oh, I got something for you here. We come back out of the timeout. Hey, man, I'll tell you what. He's a little more optimistic on the greatness of Saquon Barkley. Dude, Josh Jacobs was also on a shitty team. And he completely outperformed them the last 4 years. There was nothing in Las Vegas. Are you trying to tell me Las Vegas had anything? They didn't have anybody. Dude, Saquon Barkley is not who you think he is at $16 million. We got to reset. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Imagine for a moment that you went to work today and when you came home, you were catastrophically injured. Your life and your family's life. That's what happened to union construction worker Mike Little.
I was scared of what the end was going to be, but to be 100% honest with you, I knew I was going to be all right just by talking with Brian. In my heart, I just knew everything was going to be all right.
Call the firm and find out why they say, "We got this." Call 215-458-2222.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
For the big story on Action News,
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills. Damn, I just put that number here. So, how many people think that Saquon Barkley was more productive in the last 4 years than Josh Jacobs? And I won't even use Derrick Henry. Okay? Josh Jacobs in the last 4 years rushed for 4,300 plus yards. Barkley, 2,800 in the last 4 years. And you're paying him more. And he was on the shit Raiders. He was on the shit Raiders. Where do you see spectacular? It doesn't matter. You got Barkley, which you didn't need, is my point, guy. Barkley was on a bad team, so was Josh Jacobs. He was a better player. He's a better player. He's a better player. Running back was not a fucking need on your team, ding-dongs. Safety. Linebacker. You signed another one-trick pony edge rusher. I actually like the kid. But when John and even Xander go, Sills, he's on the field 47% of the time and he can't play the run. Shit, that sounds to me like Hassan Reddick. I'm more optimistic. And then get this. You paid for a running back and you let a guy in Xavier McKinney, the guy you really needed, and he was the giant you should have signed, go to Green Bay. And so what does Green Bay do? They sign a productive safety and a more productive back than you. They got better. I'm not saying I'm more optimistic about the Huff sign. AJ goes, I'm the biggest hater in the world. Xavier McKinney, baby. He's an Eagle. Told you, shithead. Once again, Big Sil's not a reporter. How you doing? Packers are better than the Eagles, top to bottom. Whoa. Shooter. Barkley is the Giancarlo Stanton of football. He's saying when he's healthy, he's really good. And when he's not healthy, that's what you get. I don't want old men. I'll take CJ. Sills, Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts? Ask me that question next year after the greatness of the comeback of Jalen Hurts. I want to see it. 20 carries. So here, 20 carries for what do you feel justifies the Barkley $13 million? How many carries do you think in a game? 20? Okay. 20 carries, and you haven't had a running back average 20 carries in how long? And of course, he's older. So I'm sure as he gets older, he gets healthier. 1,500 yards. Okay, sure, all right. He's not that good. He's never been that good. Dude, there's a guy in Vegas that was on a shitty O-line with shitty quarterback play, a chaotic head coaching situation, and he was twice the player in Barkley and Josh Jacobs. He was twice the player. Twice the player. His production tells you he was twice the player. That's not even Derrick Henry. 2,800 yards in 4 years at $13 million, according to Yale, is a steal. And since when did running back become a financial priority for the Eagles? Henry's a Hall of Famer. I know. I'm talking about Josh Jacobs. The password to unlock. Dude, you have to understand something about Jalen Hurts. Hey, African Surf, I've never liked the player. I've never loved the player. I like the player. That's not somebody I'm building my team around. If I've got to spend $1 trillion to build a football team around that guy, that's not who I want to build it around. So are we putting the RPO back in? I don't know. Dude, if I've got to spend this much money for Jalen Hurts, he's clearly not the guy I want to build my team around. Okay? That's not who I want to build it around. He needs a top-flight running back. Dude, he's the worst player in the offensive skilled positions in the huddle when it comes to ranking them versus the rest of the players at their position in the league. Do you know that? AJ, top 3 wide receivers, right? Shit, man. Devontae, top 10. Tight end, top 5. Offensive tackles, top 5. Left guard, top 3. Running back, second highest paid. Quarterback, top 15. Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback. Are you freaking high? If he's so top 10, why do you need $1 trillion in talent around him when other players in the league don't? He's the only guy I've ever seen that you have to spend $140 million in your huddle so that he can be good. God forbid you take AJ off the roster. He's not that good. I mean, dude, you guys spend an awful lot of money for the guy. And they spend nothing in KC. They spend nothing in Buffalo. They spend nothing on them guys. But they spend $1 billion. Dude, shit, man. You got it like $200 million almost in salaries in your offensive side of the football. And you're a dime store shopper on defense. Barkley's the best back in the NFC. That guy actually right there thinks, Arthur, that Barkley, who has common numbers, is better than Christian McCaffrey. That's a good call. Are there any good backs in the NFC? Outside of McCaffrey? That's a good call. NFC running backs by rank in yards carried in 22. That's a good call. I want to say most of them are in the McCaffrey had 1139. Austin Eckler, there's really not a lot of running backs that had 1,000 yards last year. Well, Derrick Henry, of course, but, he's different, and I can't compare him to that because that's actually a good player at the position. Barkley played on the worst. Dude, how many people in here believe that Saquon Barkley lived up to the number 2 draft pick in the draft? To the tune of $16 million or 12 plus incentives, whatever. Let me reset. You guys are stupid. This is a dumbass sign. It's a non-priority sign. Makes no sense. He's not as good as you think he is. You can think all that all you want. He is not as good as you think he is. He's never been. He has never been one of the elite backs in the game. I like it at 10 million. Yeah, Xander. 10 million? $10 million for Barkley? I would have taken Jacobs at 10 million. He's better. No, I don't know. Xander, I would have, if I'm going to pay 10 million, I'm going to kick it up a bit and get Derrick Henry. Or I'm going to get the better player. Josh Jacobs has been a better ball player the last 4 years. And get this, that's not an opinion. He's been on just a shitty team as Barkley's been on. And he's been more productive. And he's been healthier. You can deny that and not believe that. All you're going on is your opinion. I'm telling you the facts. You got one guy who's doubled Barkley in production the last 4 years. Doubled him in production. Doubled him in touchdowns. That's the guy I pay $10 million to. See, personally, he's the guy you sign at running back. The Packers got him. Hey, am I right when I say this? So the Packers have Aaron Jones and they have Josh Jacobs. Is that right in their backfield? DeMarco Murray and Saquon, same age. DeMarco Murray, baby, 2.0. Yes, sir. DeMarco Barkley. Yeah. Yes, sir, baby. DeMarco Barkley. Oh, I got to tell you, DeMarco Barkley. Got quite a dream team over there. Oh, DeMarco Barkley. I like it. Hey, Shooter. It's got a ring to it, doesn't it? DeMarco Barkley. Yeah? It's got a ring to it. Swift was better last year. And we had worse sports collapse in sports history, which proves our point, Sills. The middle schoolers just started watching and learning the game, sir. DeMarco Barkley. Yes, sir. Got to say this. I'm okay with the sign. I know I'm not thinking that Xander is a superstar fan of it. And John McMullen isn't either when it comes to Bryce Huff. Guy was undrafted from the Jets. The Eagles pick him up. Let's see what he does. I thought he was good last year. There is a question mark, though, 47% of the snaps. So he doesn't really play a ton of snaps. So he's kind of a one-trick pony in a way. We'll see. Okay? We'll see. I like it. I love the extension on Landon Dickerson. I thought it was great. I think the Barkley sign is the second worst sign to the Bears' DeAndre Swift sign in Chicago. The Eagles didn't get better today. They were lateral moves. They're lateral moves. The Philadelphia Eagles on March 11th didn't get better. They're lateral moves. And you're shopping. Josh Sweat and Reddick. Yes, sir, baby. DeMarco Barkley will solve all your problems on defense. Can't wait. And you let Xavier McKinney go to Green Bay. If I were to rank the teams now in the NFC, 49ers, Lions, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Eagles, Cowboys. There's your top 7 teams right there, baby. 49ers, Lions, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Eagles. Who can I put there at 7? I got the Cowboys 4. 49ers, Lions, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Eagles at 6. Who would I put at 7? Giants closing in on signing Brian Burns. Holy shit. Oh, they're using the Saquon Barkley money they would have spent on him to bring a 25-year-old edge rusher in that everyone covets. He'll be the best end that they have had, and they're going to put him on the other side of Kayvon Thibodeau. He'll be the best defensive end they've had since Michael Strahan. The Giants are going to sign Brian Burns, and you sign Bryce Huff. No way. No. This can't be. This can't be. No way. No way. I want confirmation. I want 3 verified sources. And one of them not being LJ, please. Not one. Hey, yeah. Hey, kudos to Russell Wilson for signing that contract with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's now in play now to get to the AFC title game. Yes, sir, baby. Same Arthur that said that Rashad Penny's going to be a baller. 1,300 yards. He's a baller. He's probably balling all year because he didn't get to play. Woo! I did. No. Bryce Huff versus Brian Burns. That's what I'm talking about here. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying, dude, you're not kidding. just because Brian Burns is better and the Giants are signing a better player than you signed. Sorry. And then you turn around and sign DeMarco Barkley. Yale brings a great point up. That's got to be $28 million per year. Okay? That's got to be up there. Okay? Hey, by the way, doesn't it show you how shitty Howie is on defense and building his team? He thinks he's some sort of draft guru. That's where he's going to go and try to rebuild his defense. This is what's going to happen to the Eagles this coming year. You're going to lose ball games 34-35. And you win 5 ball games to 7 games. You're a 5-7 win team the first day of free agency, March 11th. Congratulations to you. You didn't get better today. These moves are all lateral moves, dog. You did not get better today. Okay? '26 is missing your point, Sills. Of course they are. We could have had a starting safety, which is a higher need that's exactly correct. You got it right. They thought Saquon Barkley was the biggest need so far on the team on the first day when it's the most expensive day. They are now paying a running back the second highest salary in a non-need position when in the last 2 years, you spent a total of $3 million and got the production of 2,400 yards between two guys who are 2 different people. You could have saved yourself a ton of money there and been just as productive. Barkley's not going to be any more productive than DeAndre Swift. He's never been. He has been. He has been. That's not fair. He has been. A little bit. Not much. A little bit. You've been wrong about the Eagles before. Yeah, you know what was funny about that is when you guys were 10-1 and telling me I was a hater because what you're saying is not true about your team. All of a sudden, you went on that iconic Chernobyl meltdown. Well, what happened? You weren't as good as you thought you were. I saw it in New England. Nope. I saw your quarterback making business decisions in the first game of the year. He's sliding. I saw your team perpetrating themselves as a Super Bowl contender, and they were never. Seth kept kind of like waffling on it, but every time he'd get in the post-game show, he'd be like, I don't know. And finally, Seth goes, that ain't it. That ain't it. With incentives, $15 million for a broken down back who's only going to get worse as he gets older. Not better. Here's the prediction. That guy won't play more than 12 games this year. You got to justify, you got to give him the ball 20 times a game, right? To justify the nut. And if you don't, you overpaid the guy. Hey, Marcus says way more than 12. Let's take a look at that. Okay. That's right. That's a lot of egos on one football. He says that he's going to play way more than 12 games. All right. How many times has he played more than 12 games in his career? Saquon Barkley stats. Let's take a look at that. How many times has he actually played more than 12 games? Let's see. 16 his first year. 12 his second. 2 his third. 12 his fourth. 16 in 22 and 14 in 25. So he'll play around 13, 14 games. All right. 20 carries a game. Let's see how many times he's carried the ball, because you guys are saying 20 carries. That's 368 carries. He's never carried the ball for more than 295. You're not justifying the money here. It's just my point. How are you going to justify the money giving this guy the ball 10 times a game when you got to spread the ball around to like Devontae and AJ and Dallas Goedert? You think what's funny is people think that Barkley's like, by the way, how many catches? What's the most he's ever had in receptions? Let's take a look at receiving and catches and how many catches that he's had. Dude, his first year he had 91. That was spectacular. 52 a second. That's also good. 41 and 21. 57 and 22. But see, these numbers aren't high. Watch this. 57 catches for 300 yards. His best year was clearly his first year. I mean, 41 carries, 41 catches for 200 yards. Was he catching 5-yard outs? No, it's a shitty quarterback play too. That's got to say something. Bottom line, Barkley can be outstanding, but you can't sit here today and say, he will. Dude's been injury riddled. A clip. It's not only that. Barkley has not had an outstanding year except for his first year. The rest of them have been okay. Cosmo. Commanders. They got a lot of money. See what they do. DeMarco Barkley. Barkley can block. So you're going to pay a $15 million back to sit back there and pass block like a third guard. The Eagle line is much better than the Giants enough. Wait, once again, you're missing the point. Josh Jacobs was on a shitty team too, and more productive and better the last 4 years. Why didn't you take the better player? You went after the name. You see, Josh Jacobs is not a sexy name because he played out west and he played with the Raiders. Philly Godfather, the Giants paid a ton of money for a pretty good back when they should be spending money on their defense. That's like buying another car when you should be replacing the roof on your house. The legendary Godfather. Absolutely. Stupid, waste of money, and this guy here panicked. The Philadelphia Eagles panicked today with the Barkley signing. You panicked. You panicked. And then you got that wonderful coach. That's good. Oh, my God almighty. This is going to be one of the greatest stories in how you have. This is right now, today, March 11th, begins the ending of Howie Roseman. And I'm going to make it so. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to totally. And guess what? This is just a message for the GM and other people that seemingly, have an interest in the show each day. This is what I'm going to do. It'll all be football. Hey, Sills, just because Cobb slaps you around a little bit, breaks your jaw, okay? You want to go and you want to take out you want to take out the Eagle GM? No. This is strictly business. It's nothing personal, Sonny. This is strictly business. Bob, this is nothing personal. This is strictly business. Yeah, you want to know why? Hey, Xander, You want to know why? Oh. Whew. Hang on. That really hurt. Yeah. Sills over under Sirianni fired. Week 14. That's when they'll blow that fool out. Okay. Howie and Nick need to go. Dude, don't worry about Nick. He's a nobody. Okay. No. 41. This is a show for the non-faint of heart. We're truth, justice, and the Big Sills way, where there's no candy coating anything, especially when you sign DeMarco Barkley. And you got a leader like A.J. Owens. And you got the world's greatest general manager librarian. Doesn't get any better. I think there's more of a need at running back. There's more of a need at running back than at safety. Packers clearly got better than you. They got a better coach than you. And they got a play-calling head coach. The Packers are they're better run right now. They got a better roster, 53-man roster. Their defense is superior to yours. Their offense might not be quite as good as yours, but has balance, and they're cheap, and they're young. You are overpaid on offense. By the way, the only overpaid guy on offense, besides DeMarco Barkley, is the quarterback. The two positions in the backfield are overpaid. Is A.J. Owens overpaid? No. Is Mulata? No. Is Dickerson, who just got extended? No. Is Lane? No. Is Goddard? Probably. Is Barkley? For sure. That guy hasn't put a $13 million performance season in 4 years. Played on a bad team. Well, usually great players elevate shitty teams. Let me put this out there to you. You know what great players do to shitty teams? They win Super Bowls. That's what Mahomes is. Mahomes is off that team. So wait a minute. Let me say this to you. If you had a decent backup quarterback, you're probably going to win 10 games still with all the talent you have because of DeMarco Barkley and all your great talent. You can still win ball games. You take Mahomes off that Kansas City team, they win 4 games. They win 4 games. Oh, I like Yale's there, man. Gale Sayers, that's how you spell Gale when it comes to Gale Barkley. That's a chick's name, dog. It's funny how Sills talks trash about the super winning general manager and applauds GM. He didn't win that Super Bowl. Doug Peterson won it. Doug Peterson won it. Doug Peterson is the reason you won that Super Bowl, not because of the analytic-driven librarian. Dude, even the Brandon Graham deal's dumb. Oh, you can't talk about Graham or D-Jax and Shady. Nothing personal. They're dumb moves. You need ball players over there. Not on offense. You need ball players. You need ball players. Woo! DeMarco Barkley is going to be on fire this year. by week 12 it'd be over anyway. And everybody be going, damn, what happened? Well, Barkley was Barkley. And get this, I can't wait for one of these games. So Saquon gets the ball 5 times in a game, and he rushes for 24 yards, and you win, and you think that's good. Well, he's impacting the team in many other ways. Yeah, it's called salary cap. The guy you coveted, you got outbid for. And you overpaid for someone you didn't need to. Dude, John Schneider and all them good GMs are probably sitting back. Look at Kansas City. They need help all over the offense when it comes to skilled people. You don't see them going and doing anything because you know why? They don't need a $15 million back. They don't need a $25 million wideout. They don't need anything. They're pretty comfortable with who they are. They got a $2 million, they got $1 million running back, a couple of nobody receivers. They'll get a kid in the draft, and that's how they'll do business. Congratulations to Chris Jones on getting his contract, too. They signed the one thing they wanted to do was get Chris Jones back, and they did. And the rest they'll do in the draft. They're not going to be no player in free agency. And they got $27 million as cap space. So they did the one thing they wanted. They got their guy. By the way, they needed him. But the Eagles needed Barkley. See, here's the difference between Brett Veach and Howie Roseman. He knew he needed to pay some money to get the position and the player that they had and reinvest back in the player that they had and developed. So they gave him the money. It made sense. He's a game-wrecking guy. They gave him the money. You signed DeMarco Barkley. You panicked. How we not finished? Oh, what's next? Let me guess. You're going to make a trade for T. Higgins. Let me guess. You're trading for T. Higgins. Holy cow. You missed out on Stone, too. Hey, Dan, a little late to the show today. I was looking up the Giants O-line rankings. They were ranked 30th. And he finished 4th in rushing, holding on to hope. Hey, do me a favor, Jay Money. What were the Raiders' offensive line rankings? Just for shits and giggles, if you don't mind. Dude, hey, Raiders and Titans. Can you look those two up for me? Because what's his name? I think he had 1,300 yards or 1,200 yards rushing. Derrick Henry. Uh-oh. One of the guys that I wanted. Shit. Frankie. Where's Frankie going? To the Commanders? Damn. Eagles pass on a lot of the linebacker or another. So they miss out on Luvu, and they miss out on Xavier McKinney. So he's off the list. Shit. Has Andrew Van Ginkel signed yet? So right now we have Van Ginkel, Devin White, William Gay Jr., and Gardner Johnson left as my top 9 guys. I can't wait. Hey, so news is they want Justin Fields as a backup. Van Ginkel signed with the damn, all gone. Man, hey, they're really making an impact on defense. Whew. Wow. But hey, they got their back. Sills Noxious. I need to put that on a t-shirt. By the way, so you know, my aunt thinks I'm obnoxious too. So does my wife, my kid. Thank you. Thank you. How can Howie afford to get another player? He spent the most on a running back. I want the white boy linebacker. Oh, hey. Okay, sure. Dude, the guy from the Panthers is gone. Floyd replacing Greenlaw. Yeah, because Dom put the Maloik on his ass. Look at LJ. Leonard Floyd is washed, but not Brandon Graham. Not Brandon Graham. But Sills, he's only making 4. I don't care about the money. I care about him being on the team. I need players on defense. The roster spot is more valuable than Brandon Graham. How could you say that about one of my love childs? Because that's how the NFL thinks. Yeah, but I want to give him a farewell tour. I mean, what are you, Elton John? Nicky Dean is the savior. Yeah. And the Kobe Dean is your savior with Zach Cunningham. You know, because that's what Howie said, too. He had a great year. Okay. Hey, Patrick Queen to the Eagles, man. If they do that, that could change the room. That could change the room. Howie throwing a party tonight for a running back he overpaid for and didn't need him. How are you throwing a party for a guy who's not put up great numbers? What is great about his career that makes you go, whoa, he's a great ball player? Where? First year, yes. He's not been good since that year. That's 5 years ago. And now he's 26. But you got a back who's found the fountain of youth or the fountain of middle age or some shit. Farewell tour, Yellow Brick Road for Brandon Graham. So hey, watch this. He's a great blocker, Lamar says. So you're paying between $12 and $15 million for a great blocker. This is getting better by the second. They're getting better by the second. Holy cow. Where do you see greatness with Barkley? And then, boy, Murphy and the boys in Green Bay. Since they've moved off of Aaron Rodgers, have won a playoff game, have found another quarterback, found a wide receiving core, which they always do, improving their defense, signing the right back, and got better. Way to go, guys in Green Bay. Outstanding first day. Let's be real. They don't value defense. Good luck seeing any good defensive free agents. Might as well sign randoms off the street like they always do. Like they always do. Like they always do. If he could stay healthy, if. So here, let me replace if with Xander's favorite word. Potentially, he can stay healthy. It'll be a great pickup at $15 million. Run between the tackles 20 times a game. Who's getting reps taken from him? AJ? Goddard? Shit, he gets reps taken anyway. More reps taken away from. So you're going to extend Devontae Smith taking reps away so that Barkley can get his 20 carries. Who loses reps? Who loses the reps? A.J. Owens? Oh, that'll be great. He'll be calling into that psychiatrist in the afternoon on WIP on a weekly basis. It'll be as the weirdo turns. Absolutely. Xander's right. Goddard trade request incoming. He should want out. They can't use him. They don't know how to use him. I like that, Q. I'm not a fan of the contract either, but just because Barkley signed with the Eagles, let's not act like he is not talented. No, that's not what I said. I said he didn't carry the bum Giants. Carried them to what? Dude, teams, great backs are like Jacobs and Henry. They carry horrible teams. Barkley carried nothing. He's okay. He's a good player. He's not what you think he is. Dude, my God almighty, look at his career. Where do you see great? Year one. I'll surrender that. After that, no, I won't. I will not. Okay? The Giants are just about ready. I just got a text to sign Brian Burns to a 4-year contract that'll make him the highest edge rusher in pro football at 25 years of age. Oh, my God. Carolina gets dick for him now. Oh, my God. Why did Carolina trade him last year if you just were going to let him walk out the building? And you didn't designate him as a restricted free agent. How in the world are you doing that? And okay, they're working a trade. All right. That would, at least you're going to get something out of that. You can't let him walk out the building. Yeah, but if you're Burns and the agent has them by the short hairs, Carolina. Well, he probably doesn't have a no trade. I'm sure Brian Burns is dying to go to that shitbox organization, the Giants. Say, you go from one turd lily pad to another, not safe landing. Look at McCaffrey's career before he went to San Francisco. I'll wait. Oh, yeah, because Christian McCaffrey was also awesome when he was in Carolina. Barkley's never been that. And there's a reason that McCaffrey's contract was not signed in San Francisco, Marshall. It was signed in Carolina. He signed that giant contract in Carolina, not San Francisco. I'll wait. Pete, not a lot of people are liking the Bryce Huff sign because he can't play the run. I actually like the kid. I thought he was productive every time I saw him on the field. He looked productive. Okay? Dan, you can't deny his productive 40-plus TD, 7K yards as a Giant. He doesn't have 7,000 rushing yards as a Giant. Dude, what are you talking about? In the last 4 years, he's got 2,800 rushing yards. Saquon Barkley stats. He's got 5,000 rushing yards. He doesn't have over 7,000. Not at all. Not even close to that. And in the last 4, he's got 2,800 rushing yards. Dude, don't blow shit up when you know it's not true. And in the last 4 years, he's got 28 touchdowns. Where's the 40 touchdowns? He doesn't even have 40 touchdowns in his career. Totally fake news and completely made up. Not true. Okay? I didn't even put Josh Jacobs' total yards. Barkley's phenomenal. He's a great player. He completely lived up to the second pick in the draft. The Eagles were right to spend $12 to $15 million annually on him. Congratulations. All of you guys, I'll see you back in Rashad Pennyville. I'll see you back in Rashad Pennyville. He's not Kajana Carter. I didn't say that. I didn't say he was Kajana Carter. I heard they are talking about moving off of Joey Bosa. I don't know about moving off of Keenan Allen. Maybe Khalil Mack. They might move off of that. Green Bay, man, what a day. Wow. Great first day for Green Bay. I think it's going to be interesting to see now that Kirk Cousins signs in Atlanta. Who gets Justin Jefferson? Here's another example of wasted money. So if they sign Justin Jefferson to a $29 million, $28 million a year deal in Minnesota, and you got the 11th pick, I would not shock me if Minnesota trades up into the top 3 to get either Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams, or you trade with Chicago, or you trade with Chicago something, and you move up and you give multiple ones up to get the first pick in the draft, because it doesn't justify signing him. It just doesn't justify it. Justin Fields doesn't have a market. Wow. Hey, so Chicago signs DeAndre Swift, and now Justin Fields doesn't have a market. Hey, can you guys tell me what year was Justin Fields drafted? What year was Justin Fields drafted in the NFL draft? What year was that? Was he drafted? What year was Justin Fields drafted? Does anyone know? 2001. 2001 NFL draft. Let's take a look at that. Look how these great quarterbacks have panned out. Let's take a look at that here. Okay? Let's take a look at this. No, 2021. 2021 NFL draft. Here we go. So here are the picks at quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, who was just traded for a 6th rounder. Whoa. Shit. Good luck in this year's draft. Good luck. I can't wait for tomorrow. This has been a spectacular day. I want to thank you all for bringing me DeMarco Barkley. It just doesn't get any better. Kudos to Green Bay. Kudos to the biggest thief in NFL history, Kirk Cousins. I can't believe what that guy did in Atlanta. Holy cow, that guy rolling into town on a donkey and stole money. Woo! Unbelievable. I can't wait for tomorrow. Shit, don't forget Birds 365. I'm sure the world's going to change, and I'm sure Howie's going to sign Justin Fields to be Jalen's backup and trade for a 1st rounder for him. We shall see. Guys, thank you so much. Please hit the like button. 2 to 6 tomorrow. Big Joe Xander, we thank you. And we will see you on the flip side.